So good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, May 25th, 2023 meeting of the Parks and Community Services Committee. Today we're here to hear about all the wonderful projects from the applicants for our community grants. There is one change to the schedule, and that is Coaster Theater is going to be at 11:50 rather than 10. So we'll have a little break in the middle. And Anita Duber will not be able to join us today. So anyway, let's go ahead and start with the Cannon Beach Arts Association. Please, thank you, Lila.
So good morning, everybody. Thanks for doing this. We all know how volunteerism works. It takes a lot of time. I'm Lila Wickham, and I'm the treasurer of the Cannon Beach Arts Association and have been with the organization since 2015. And this is Summer Peterson. Summer is our marketing director, but has recently taken on some new responsibilities like Summer Art Camp, Art Day. And so now we're changing her title to program director and program and marketing director, because she's managing all the programs. And we're going to be doing an experiment this summer where we'll be open 7 days a week to see if we can enhance our sales by being more available. So you know that our goals are to support artists and staff. Highlights of the community grant last year. Summer Art Camp had 95 students. It was our first one, in-person one after the pandemic. Artist grants, we awarded a grant to Chris Began. He was offered a special show and then was able to sell $684 worth of his work. We awarded 2 scholarships and for Seaside High School students, and they'll be receiving those on June 6th. Art Day at Seaside High School and Cannon Beach School, April 10th, right?
April 14th and 28th.
And then we have these 2 books that we created, and we give the proceeds, donate it back to community in the amount of $3,511. So in 2023 and 2024, our plan is to do Art Camp again. It'll be in July, scholarships and artist grants. The other, with Summer taking on these new responsibilities, she's going to work on grant writing skills so that we have a deeper bench for grant writing. We attended a foundation workshop, where one of those workshops where it's kind of like speed dating and you go from foundation to foundation. And then since then, Summer signed up to be a reviewer for the Oregon Arts Commission grant. And we're looking for a writing workshop for to attend. And then we'll be producing the grants that I've been writing for 4 years together so that she can have new skills. And let's see. Our challenges, interestingly, and I don't know if this is universal, but in the pandemic, people spent more on art and on their homes. And since people are traveling again, their disposable income for art appears to have decreased. So we've had decreased sales. That's why we're looking at being open 7 days a week. And in the pandemic, there was a plethora of grants out there to write for and acquire. And now it's sort of just back to, nominal grant options. And one of our goals is to assure that our employees have a living wage. You all know how difficult it is to hire community people and have them be able to support themselves here. So that's one of the reasons for increasing our time and increasing the skills of Summer and Scott. Anyway, we're requesting $17,455. And the one thing I didn't mention is that the summer, we think of our world in tourist season and non-tourist season, which, you know, I'm not sure we have non-tourist season anymore, but so we look at the community grant supporting us in the summer when we don't have tourism grant funding. So that's kind of how we balance it. So any questions?
You had, you actually answered the question, but I thought I would just, so I read that you had seen sales had dropped, and I was curious what your plan was, and you've already kind of told me you're going to keep the storefront open for 7 days. Are there any other things that we could do that would maybe, you know, like, and I guess Summer, maybe this is the question for you, or you're already thinking about more publicity for the storefront and, you know, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we do, I don't think it's mentioned in the community grant, but we do a summer night market, which is, and our whole mission is based off local and regional artists to give them a platform to sell and meet the public. So we do that, and that brings people in, and that's kind of educational to meet like our local artists like Libby Patterson and Gordon French and things like that. And then we're also going to open an hour earlier in the morning to maybe bring in some more sales like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed that you've got 4 specific shows that were listed. Let me, you know, yeah, the exhibition program, which was part of the request, and that's, you've got 4 of those. Is that more shows than normal? Or, you know, is that kind of typical for what y'all would do every year?
Yeah, so we try to do 9 exhibits a year. We end up sometimes doing a pop-up exhibit. But 9, yeah, because we try to switch it out basically every 5 weeks.
Okay.
So if you weren't funded to the entirety of that amount, $17,000 and $17,455, what would you be lacking? I mean, what would be cut from, what would you be cutting from what you proposed?
The staffing for the summertime.
And how are signups looking for summer camp? Pretty good. The classes look good.
They're looking really good. We have about 100 people signed up, or 100 classes have been sold. And then we have 4 that are sold out, and I'm still getting a lot of demand. So I'm going to try to add some classes last minute. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And I'm sorry,
No.
are you, do you get TAC money at all, or do you just?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So, and you get grants too, so I just wonder, because we have so many people applying, it's really hard to give what people exactly what people want. So we certainly appreciate what you folks do to this community, and so it's always difficult for us to decide how to divvy this up, but anyway.
Yes, we know. But back to your question, our experiment for the summer is to be open 7 days a week. And we will do summer art camp, we will do scholarships and those program things. It's going to be challenging without supplemental support to try this experiment of being open more hours. So that's all I say to that. But thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Summer, for stepping up. I know how important it is to have a creative grant writer, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is Canna Beach Chorus. Is anybody here from the chorus? Wonderful.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
I'm not here to rob you, but my wife is immunocompromised. So out of courtesy to her, I try to take precautions. So my name is Roy Sieber. As of this past fall, I am the director of Cannon Beach Chorus. Cannon Beach Chorus had been in a limbo for essentially 3 years because of the pandemic, as many other things were in limbo. And the director of 12 years and accompanist Dr. John and Susan Bueller left in August, and the chorus was needing to find some new direction, and they selected me for that position. I have with me today Rosa Erlbach, who is the treasurer of our organization. And we want to thank you for this opportunity to share and get to know some of you a little better, and others get to know you. I know the people who have dogs in towns pretty much because I run into them, but I,
For disclosure, Roy and I walk dogs on almost exactly the same schedule.
yeah, yes. Anyway, the Cannon Beach Chorus is in its 35th year. We had, this past year was very definitely a rebuilding year. For the first time in 3 years, we presented concerts. We presented 2 concerts at Christmas, and we just finished 4 concerts this spring. And we expanded our venues to include Tillamook and Seaside, as well as Nehalem and Cannon Beach. And that was for several reasons. One, out of courtesy to the members of our group who come from those areas to participate. And the other was Tillamook area had lost their community chorus, and we were wanting to become visible there so that people would realize there was an option for them to participate without driving all the way to Astoria, which would be even further still. It's quite a commitment. We are a non-audition open community group. And I think we've maintained that spirit this past year. We've had a number of new people who've joined. The course numbers had dwindled during 3 years of pandemic and changes and other things. And we have been able to attract new members from the community and new persons moving into the area. And during our last series of concerts, I had probably 10 or a dozen inquiries about the group. A young couple that had just moved to Arch Cape 2 weeks before the concert, and the woman had been in arts high school in Sweden, and they were asking about when we rehearse and things like that. So the concerts are a good way to increase visibility. And that's part of why we're looking at the publicity request of our grant. We did also participate, in addition to that, in a couple of local community events. We sang at the lamp lighting. We followed the children's chorus, which was a tough act, but we did our best. And we also participated in the chamber caroling that was done last year. And I was excited because they wanted to have us carol in Spanish and in English. And I said, well, what have you done in past years? They said, well, we've never done this before. Okay. But we were able to do that. And we attracted at that over a dozen people, principally from the Spanish language church that meets at the Bible church in town. And so I was really thrilled that we had support from people who haven't been struggling for 3 years like me to learn Spanish online, but actually use the language and speak it fluently. So it was exciting to have that experience and participate in that. That was a chamber event, but that's something that they asked us to support as the chorus because of what we do. We sing. We also, as it's mentioned here, provide grants for high school students who are going to college to continue some form of choral study. It doesn't have to be necessarily they major in it, but they are participating in choruses in the school and are continuing music at a collegiate level to support just that among the younger members of our community. And so we're excited to be able to provide that. So in specific to the request, we're requesting some funds. I might just add, because of 3 years of no performances and other things, that pandemic hit us all different ways, but that wasn't helpful to our fiscal situation because there was no money coming in for concerts and other things. And so we would like to increase our visibility, update our publicity. They still have pictures of John Bueller there. If you know John, the two of us look quite different. Although my joke is people used to confuse us on the street. John's about twice my height and he's a significant sized man, which I am not. But we needed some new publicity to try to update it to get people interested. And so printing brochures that would be available, printing business cards. I realized at the end of the year that had I just given a business card with our information on it to everyone who asked me about it, that might have been a very good way to keep it in their memory when we begin to rehearse again in September. We did have we had 40 people who participated in the chorus during the year. We never had 40 people in one place at one time, but during the year we did. And the chorus is important to the people who come. It's a community event. In fact, I like to call our concerts not concerts as much as community events where we provide music for people. And I think we had that spirit that was present at the events that we provided. And so I feel good about that part of things. So we've asked for some $700 for publicity and also some new music. We do have a library and we utilize it thoroughly, but we need to produce 12 to 15, 16 pieces of music. A piece of music for a chorus of 40 would run anywhere from $80 to $250, depending on the price on the music. So music is a costly item. We do use from our library extensively because we can't afford to go out and buy all new music and wouldn't need to every year. But to be able to provide new pieces that excite the chorus, that maybe relate more to the audience, the contemporary audience, than some of the older pieces is an important part of what we do, putting those programs together and having that available. We have been doing work to try to increase our fiscal situation a bit. And we did have 3 members, including Rosa and 2 other members who the president of the organization, another member, attended a grant writing workshop earlier this year. And so we're hoping that we'll be able to augment our funds from what was learned there and other possibilities for writing the grant. There's more I could say, but I won't. If you have any other questions.
Well, okay. So, first of all, I wanted to say that I thoroughly enjoy the Cannon Beach Chorus. If I have a regret, it's that you don't get better attendance.
Yes.
And I'm really pleased to hear that you're making efforts to, I guess, get out there more. I think it's very worthwhile.
Good.
I was interested though, and I didn't see the Christmas offerings because traditionally that's when I'm not in town.
Right.
I'm sorry about that. But so the notion of having a Spanish language choral event
Right.
intrigues me. Is that something you think you might do again?
Well, one of the Christmas numbers that I've slated is called Esta Noche, and it's a Spanish language piece for Christmas. Rosa, fortunately, really knows Spanish. She's fluent. Yeah. She kind of needed that growing up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But we are trying to, I mean, we did some Latin, but that didn't have a broad appeal. And my joke is there aren't that many old Romans running around anymore. But we are going to be doing a Spanish piece in the program. And then when it comes to the caroling, I have made contacts with people from the Spanish speaking church in town. And they will be able to help me focus a little better on how we bring in the Spanish speaking community. I did my best using the contacts I had. I had a few weeks to pull it together when I was asked to do that. But I think having more people involved from the community will help us to focus that a little better. So I don't know if that answers.
No, yeah, I just think that's an area that I personally would like to see us collectively the Hispanic part of the community. I'd like to reach out to them more, and I think you've got a great opportunity to touch some people that I don't know how else you might get to them.
The music, the caroling was good, and we kind of evolved. I had some stuff planned, and I did put the link, the stuff on the website to where English speaking people could go through the Spanish lyrics phonetically. And I had recordings for them to listen to so they could do that. I don't know that a lot of people went to the website and tried to do that necessarily, but I was trying to make that accessible to those that I knew would be there. And then we had someone was there during the caroling that I said, "What would you sing?" And so we just those who were there who had a common heritage in singing in Spanish sang a piece for the rest of us, kind of a thing. So we were able to kind of utilize on the fly, making those connections. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate what you do for the community. Do you have other sources in town, or you said you're going to start writing grants, but
We do have contributors. We have a list of contributors. We've been trying to revitalize that because it's hard when you're not performing for 3 years. It's a little harder to justify people making contributions to the group. And so we've had those that have traditionally done, and we still get contributions from a number of those people. But we've had several discussions about how we go out and make ourselves more visible that way. I do believe the 2 concerts we've had, those who came, we've had very positive response to the programs. And a year ago, this time, they expected John and Susan to be there, and a few months later, we didn't even know if we'd be able to continue as a group. So we look at this as a rebuilding year, but we do have business and private donors that also support the course
Good.
locally.
appreciate what you folks do.
So I have one more quick question. The way I read your request, am I correct that you're going to actually be increasing the number of concerts that you had planned? And I guess last year was kind of a start,
Right.
getting back to business year. But it seemed like you were trying to increase the number of times you're actually going to be singing in public. Is that?
Yes. Well, what literally happened last year is we sang our 2 regular concerts, one here and one in Nehalem, the first weekend in December. And then for the spring concert, we added 2 additional concerts that had not been done. I don't know if the chorus had ever done 4 concerts. I think they'd done 3 some seasons prior to that. We did that. We're evaluating that in terms of how it went, because when you're asking people from Hammond to drive to Tillamook for a concert, that's a pretty big investment for them when they're volunteering their time and doing it that way. So we're evaluating that, but our intent is to have more. Probably not during the Christmas season because it's Christmas season, and to find a space to get the chorus together and to perform 2 additional things and fit it into the various community schedules. Probably won't be happening this year if we get there. But in spring, we have a lot of flexibility in terms of what's going on. There's no fixed holiday. And I think our general consensus was we'd probably be doing at least 3 concerts because we enjoy the other venues, but I don't. Is
Sure.
that?
No, that's great. I applaud your efforts. Thank you.
Well, thank you very.
Thank you so much.
Thank
For all
you.
you do.
You're all invited Monday night. If you like to sing.
Thank you.
No one around me likes me to sing.
Next is the Cannon Beach History Center and Museum. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Great, how are you?
Great to see you. Good morning.
So thanks for being here.
Yes, thanks for having us. So I guess I'll just start, right?
Great.
Cool. So we're getting to our hopefully final part of our archival restoration project. The community grants allowed us to get our archives online in a really cool portal, which we launched this year, and we're so stoked about it. And people are already using it. So the next phase is getting all of our physical archives onto the online portal and getting the pictures updated and getting the locations updated. It's a really involved process. So we were super lucky to get approached by our first Pacifica Project student this year. Yeah, it's really cool. We're super proud. He's archaeology.
So he goes to Seaside High School where they have the Pacifica Project that they have to do, and he is into paleontology. So he actually has this exhibit at the museum right now. It's called the North Coast Fossil Exhibit, which is really cool. So you should check it out. He did it all himself.
Yeah.
So
And in his free time, he was going and collecting fossils and then coming to the museum and learning how to accession them and learning how to use our Past Perfect software. Almost better than me, which I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but he's really good. And he's gotten a lot of stuff done as a volunteer while he was getting his Pacifica Project hours completed. So we're getting towards the end of the school year now, and he's going to graduate. And he mentioned another local history establishment is doing a summer intern program. And so he was like, I don't want to leave you guys, but we realized that we had to offer something, competitive that will keep him with us, helping us and keep us involved in the community, and so that we don't lose these kids to the other bigger places that have bigger funding. So we just created the internship program for during the summer. We kind of mirrored what's going on around us. We checked a few local historical societies and saw what they were doing. So we came up with our own program. It'll be a 10-week internship. We're asking for $5,000 as an incentive for him, to stick around and to offer him something. And we would be training him, and he would be training with us and the Past Perfect archival system software. They also have their own free training courses. So it's just a really involved process, and we realized how much we needed him because it is just me and Liz right now. We're in the process of relaunching our volunteer program, which is something Hannah's been really excited about. And, we've been getting some rumblings in the community, but it is slow coming because, again, it's just me and Liz. If I'm out and she has a meeting, emails don't get it. We got to wait till the next day. It's a lot. We're doing cottage tour. I'm writing grants. We're doing social media. We're doing everything, sponsorships, everything. And so when he came to us, we just realized this would be a great thing, and to lose him early would be so unfortunate. So I know I talk fast, so any questions?
and he's also going to school for museum studies. So he'll be going to, I forget which college it is, but it's in
Idaho?
Washington
Okay,
State. So he wants to get his degree in museum studies. So this is perfect for him. We feel like this would be a good fit for him because he is interested in, working at a museum, and getting that experience for him going into college, I think will be really valuable for him, or invaluable.
Yeah.
Really, I think it'll be really great I think it's a great fit overall.
Do you see this as something that you might continue to do in the future?
Yes, we would love to offer this every year, every summer. Because this is something we've been wanting to do for a long time, is to get the younger people involved, get the younger kids involved in history. That's just, I think, very important to us. So I think this is a great start for us, to start of something big for us that I think can evolve every year and would help us.
Yeah, it would
In
help us.
return,
It gives us a resurgence, you know, his classmates found out about his exhibit, so they all want to come and see it. And that's bringing more young folks into the museum, which is something we've really wanted because they're the future, right? If anybody's going to help us keep carrying this on, we have to entrust it to them and they have to know how to take care of these things. And it's just really cool that we're finally tapping into that little community kind of. And yeah, we definitely want to keep that spark alive and grow it into like a fire, definitely.
So you have a 10-week internship for him proposed. How many hours are you looking at per week?
Per week, we were looking at 15 to 20 hours, and we were looking at offering him between 17 to 18 or $19 an hour, depending on what we get for it. And that's because it's just 10 weeks, you know, it's just, and he might not even stay for the full 10 weeks because like when his school starts, he might have to leave earlier in August. And then when he graduates high school, of course, it's going to be now in June. So we held a few weeks out to that so that maybe he starts middle of June, beginning of July, which would coincide with like our sales for Cottage Tour. And that would really help us like carry him through the summer until we're rewarded any grants that come our way, of course. But just knowing that the grants are coming really helps us like move forward with it, because then we know we're going to get replenished, because private nonprofit, it's like every single dollar counts.
Oh,
That
gosh.
sounds great.
It
It sounds
does.
like he's helping you and you're helping him and it.
100%.
Yeah, like
Yes.
Andrea mentioned, I think he knows our system better than we do, which is
That.
huge. And he comes in every week and he goes right to work. He already knows what he's doing, and he's a really hard worker.
Yeah.
So he's already shown that he can put in the work that is needed for this, and he'll be able to get our archives up and running, all, you know, organized and everything put on our online portal, which has been amazing. People are already utilizing that, which is incredible. And that takes a huge load off of us, because in the past we've had to do the research for them and it takes time, as you know. So that is so big for us. So I think this will be a great thing for not just us, but for the community as well.
Well, I've seen your portal. After we chatted and you showed me how to.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Oh, good to hear.
Thank you.
Do you think that, I mean, I don't know how much more material you've got, but do you think that he'll be able to make a dent in a 10
I
week?
think he's already made a dent.
He had,
He accessioned an entire, right. He's accessioned more than I've accessioned. Again, not to sound like I'm not doing my job, but it takes a lot to get to it. And then you see a whole box of newspapers and you're just like, I'll do that tomorrow after this grant and this and this and this. And so he just went right. He did the whole box of newspaper. It was shocking. It gives me goosebumps. I think he's making a dent, and also in the physical archives, because the thing about the archival software is it tells you the location in the physical archive, and that has to be up to date if you're going to be doing anything like our Stephanie Inn experience that we've been doing. We bring things from the archives for them to see. We need to know where they go. We need to know where to find them next time. So, and he's getting up there and he's doing it. And I mean, minimal direction. He's just like, he has a question, he finds the answer, and it's really cool. It really is. He's utilizing every tool we have in our research library. And then he'll ask us questions too, but he tries to like leave us alone to do what we're doing. He's really self-taught, and
he's a very quick learner.
he's
too.
a quick learner. He's whip smart. He really is. He's so great that I was like, we're doing this community grant for you. I want to do this for you, you know?
I appreciate what you folks do. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Ah,
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. You
Appreciate
guys were a
that.
huge help for us to get our online portal, and I can't say thanks enough because after the pandemic, people wanted to do things from home, and this is like, go right ahead. You know, it's really, it doesn't get easier. So we just want to keep building it, and yeah, it's really awesome. It helps to further our mission
Does.
in a huge way.
So I know this isn't a part of the grant request. I'm anxious to see the afternoon talk program start again. Is that in the works for this year? Or are you gonna have people come in like you 2-3 years ago we had?
Yeah, we did it for the beginning of this year. So the first like 6 months in this year, we've been doing it afternoon lecture series. We messed with the time so that it's at 4 o'clock instead of like at 7 or 8. And we've gotten a lot more feedback and a lot more people showing up before they hit dinner. You know, it's like a perfect timing. Instead of going home and watch the news, they came watch a lecture and then they just go to dinner. That's nice. Public Coast, the brewery, they've been a huge help with sponsoring our lecture series and getting it off the ground again in a way that was more meaningful. We found really awesome speakers this year, including Zachary Stoggs from the Oregon Black Pioneers and Sally Freeman, right? Sally Freeman, Miss Sally Freeman, talking about women of the Lewis and Clark expedition, which was so cool. And we're trying to figure out how to digitize it so we can get it online, at least for our membership to watch when you guys can't make it if you're not in state. And so we're definitely bringing that up again. It's just for the summer and cottage tour, we kind of like
Yeah, we
tapered
usually
down.
do January through May, possibly to June, just because summer is our big planning for cottage tour.
Yeah.
Cottage tour, and then
up
it gets
everything.
really hot in that event space too. So I remember having lectures in there, and it was just like it was stifling in there. So
And we've been inviting like more people from the community to come talk too. Like Peter Lindsay had his little roundtable discussion, which was really cool. It was like a lecture, but more like sharing stories, and everybody's sharing stories. And that was really cool. So we're going to do that again.
he's actually coming. He's
This
going to be here
month.
this Saturday.
Yeah, this
at 3
Saturday we'll do
o'clock.
that again.
He's going to do a little
And
talk
it's
again.
A nice little push for his
So.
book republishing. And
Oh, you didn't? Oh, well.
watch our Facebook. Get on the Facebook.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
We
seeing
appreciate your time.
us.
Thank you.
oh, Saturday at 3?
Saturday at 3. Yes. It's just an hour long, but it's really awesome.
Why didn't I know that?
Yeah, come on by. We hope to see you guys.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Clatsop Casa.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
So nice to see you guys again.
Tommy?
So our request this year is largely similar to prior years. We remain very committed to our one very important mission. Thanks to the funding we received last year, we were able to have a really great fall training. We had 8 participants total. 5 of those were sworn in, which resulted in 6 children being served with their own volunteer. Those volunteers have remained on those cases. Some have closed. Some look like they will have an additional 1.5 year commitment. So thank you for that funding, because our volunteer roles are very different in the sense that we ask for multiple years commitment. For the prior year, our volunteers contributed over 4,700 hours to our community. And that's, you really can't put a price tag on some of those things that are just tangible and present in the lives of those youth. We asked funding to support our fall training again this year. We have reduced our staffing down. We're trying to cut overhead. Like many organizations, the need has increased and expenses has increased. And so we have just kept a program manager and myself on board. We successfully serve all of our children. We have started to include other programs to be able to have courtesy CASAs. Many of our youth have unfortunately been in their trauma environment much longer due to the pandemic. So the needs that we're seeing coming in are much more severe than what they used to be. So some of our volunteers spend 10 hours a week traveling to facilities and placements that are outside of Clatsop County, where these youth are getting, the stabilization and some of the regulation that they need to be able to be integrated back successfully. In addition, I think most of you are pretty familiar with our training process and who we are. So I'd like to just share a little bit about the other things that we are doing in addition to training. I can only talk so much about that piece before it's just kind of repetitive. So we have began a pajama program and a book reading program to where, our foster families are so near and dear, and they're not always supported as well as they could be by the agency. So our pajama program enables us to pre-prepare homes with multiple sizing of new pajamas and clothing, just in case they were to get a placement. We put brand new books in the hands of these parents to just encourage some regulation and routine coming in. Many of our youth, there's been a lot of educational challenges the last few years. So, reading a book or just holding them close to them and snuggling them, kind of in new clothing just really helps to set a really great routine up for that family. In addition to that, we have started giving gas vouchers to our volunteers. Gas expenses are high. And so where we can, we've been trying to give incentives for some of the driving that's being done down to Oregon, Baker City, Columbia County, some of those places. In addition to that, we have been trying to recruit a college youth or someone to help us with our social media and some of the marketing things where we have decreased overhead. You always have to offset something. And so where we have been trying to write more long-term sustainable grants, that has taken time away from the in-community fundraising. We used to have really large events. Pandemic shut down. A lot of our businesses that we relied on have closed or just still in that rebuilding phase of things. So we have the goals to get our fundraising back on track, to get our marketing on track. But in the meantime, we have updated our print materials. We do have our application and supplementary materials available in Spanish. We have tried to reach out to that community. I will say the beautiful thing about the Hispanic community is they have such a big family system that they really wrap around their youth. And so usually when we do cross over, it's quick and we see really great outcomes there. But we have opened that door just to ensure that we are equipped to serve those youth that may come into our care. We've also began conversations with the Lower Q Center. As LGBT plus identifying youth, the numbers are increasing. Some of our volunteers are familiar, but some are not. So we have consults that we speak with that can have lived experience to help guide us to be culturally sensitive. And then in addition to that, I've stepped up on several statewide committees to try to create a coalition manager to where there's always active training opportunities that go into things on a deeper level, like ICWA, Oregon ICWA's law, what that looks like, allyship, some of the history of Oregon and civil rights and those sorts of things, to where we can be offering those continuously, as well as we still do monthly in-house in-service trainings as well. So our volunteers get no less than 12 additional training hours. Most take 20 to 25. Our cost per volunteer per year used to be around $1,700. It's now a little bit over $5,000, and that's grew just in the last 3 years. So, if you do the numbers on our 40 volunteers, multiply that by the youth, our program is really a great investment, I think, for our communities. It's no secret that DHS has been in a struggle. Their building has shut down. They've had staffing shortages for multiple years now. We have several youth who actively report at court that the only person that they've been in contact with is their CASA volunteer. Our foster families, we do monthly surveys just to see where we could improve at, or areas of opportunity, or to see what's going well. And 98% of the time, the response is, you guys are the only ones that's checked in with us or helped us to meet any of the needs that we have. So we have some really great stories. We have several youth who have needed additional therapy that wasn't available in our county. So we've accessed and advocated for funding for equine therapy in Columbia County. We have many youth who haven't had a new jacket or a new particular outfit or sporting piece of equipment that they've needed, that we were just unaware of due to how long these children have been left in their unfortunate family circumstances. And so when they're coming in, just being able to give these, tiny little things to these youth that it's just so invaluable and monumental to them in their lives. Those are the blessings that we kind of get on this side of things. Our cases are lasting a bit longer. So we would hope to have a case on the path to permanency within 15 months. It's starting to be closer to 24 months. We're not surprised. I think at my last grant, I had kind of spoke to our work's really going to begin on the back end of the pandemic. We have a mental health crisis. Some legislations impacted drug laws and some of the practicalities and how we would advocate for services for families to be safe and reunited and for the long term, not just in the immediate right now, but how do we help them, be functional and feel supported after their case closes. And so we have many volunteers who don't take cases, but they do follow up and maintain long-term commitments, after everyone else has kind of stepped out of the picture. Questions at this point or anything else I can offer you guys?
How does the process work how do you identify a child in need? I mean, how do they first come on your radars?
Great question. So we are very fortunate. There's 19 CASA programs in the state. Many of those are appointed on an as needed basis. In our county, we're appointed to represent every youth that is in the legal custody of DHS. So that can mean that they are in a foster home or placement, or they can remain with their parents while DHS has legal guardianship, just until the issues are kind of ameliorated or taken care of. And so from the get-go, we are involved with the petition all the way through the life of that case. Me and my coworkers, since it is just the two of us, we came on as volunteers before we were ever staff. So we still keep our own volunteer cases. And then we're able to consult about every case. So we don't miss a court hearing for any child on our caseload at any time throughout the year. We don't miss school meetings. We check in with a therapist. And we're supported by a state statute that enables us to really talk to anyone that might have feedback or good information about that youth, their needs, their concerns, their history. So when it's appointed, we look at our list and we don't just appoint a volunteer to appoint a volunteer. We look for similarities. Is there interest? Does this volunteer have a background, maybe in education if this youth, needs tutoring? Is this youth involved in sports? And do we have a volunteer that matches that? We have one youth that's really into archery. And we have a gentleman that had a background in archery. And so on the weekend, they go out and they shoot. And for these kids that's been isolated for a really long time, just getting out and in the fresh air is really therapeutic and healing in itself. And so then we kind of look at the issues. We're very sensitive. So when our volunteers come on, there's a really thorough vetting process. We do a pre-interview. We do all the background checks. We do the training and then we do an exit interview. Some of us are unaware of our own trauma and our own stuff that might get in the way. And so we really want to check in to be sure that this is healthy, both for the volunteer and the youth. And then we start to look at gender and different specifics. So I guess in short, it's a little bit complicated, but the youth are always being advocated for. And as we get to know them, we are always actively seeking that individual volunteer to come on at the time in which they're available. Does that answer the question?
No, I
Okay.
answered it very well.
Okay.
Do you get any government funding or do you just depend on?
We do get government funding. For years, it's odd to say that we have a state mandate, but we're poorly supported by our government. So we never know what we're going to get. We have to actively, through our OCN, our state organization, they collect membership dues and then they provide lobbyists for us essentially. So we receive anywhere from 9% to 11%, but we never know until the budget is set. And unfortunately, in our political atmosphere, we've had walkouts, we've had a lot of tension in our places of importance. And so we probably won't know until last minute what that will look like this year. I believe last year they supported us about 11% of our funding. Largely, we're supported through our local community governments, small grants, Oregon Community Foundation. When we're able, we also come on board with the United Way, so we have really great staple funding. We've even been able to reach out to places like the Roundhouse Foundation and Clark Foundation as expenses has risen. Some of, what my main concern is like paying staff in order to provide this really great free service. And we have as small of a location as we could. We don't do a lot of the extras that we would love to do. We really want to focus on is this dollar, does this dollar need to be out in the field or does it need to be here? And thankfully, since I'm the director and kind of HR and accountant and all those things, I can sit down with my treasurer and monthly we go through all of our documentations to make sure we're financially healthy in case we have another pandemic, we have reserves. What do we look like right now? And then we're always thinking about that future, knowing that our caseload is probably going to increase in intensity and numbers as we move away from the pandemic and those effects are felt, on a deeper level.
You do amazing work. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I was just looking at your budget
Mhm.
and I see on there that you have 10,000 from City of Astoria and 10,000 of CPAC. Are those just standard amounts that they give you all, or do you have to apply for a grant in a similar situation?
Yeah, I do apply for a grant. We've increased those asks over the years. So typically we would be funded anywhere from a 4,000 to 6,000. The city of Seaside is very healthy and so they have been able to increase our ask to 10. It's never a guarantee. I try to budget to the best of my ability based off of what I request. For the city of Astoria, we have increased that to 10 as well. And we typically receive 7 to 8 from Astoria.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions? Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for all you do.
No, geez. Can't even imagine.
Okay, next, Clatsop Community Action. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for
Yes,
having
thank
us.
you. We're in both places. We are here and we have somebody online also. We all like to talk about what we do, so.
I'm Jerome Stigman, the program developer for CCA, Susan Prettyman, our social service manager, and we have the head of the food bank online there.
Yeah,
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
thank you for having us. So Clatsop Community Action, our mission is to help people with housing, food, and other basic needs. We're here to help everybody. So last year, well, really, let me step back for just a second. CCA is really the leading anti-poverty resource agency for Clatsop County. So we see between 30 to 35% of Clatsop County residents. And a large portion of that, I would say 10 to 15% are actually residents of Cannon Beach. So we do that and we meet their needs through a lot of different programs. And some of them you might know about, some of them will be a little bit new. I'll touch just really briefly on 2 newer programs that we rolled out last year. And I want to give Dustin a chance to talk about the food bank also. So we work with people that are experiencing housing insecurity to do rental assistance for them. Clients that are experiencing homelessness, unsheltered clients, we can help them with deposit assistance to get them moved into housing. And we work with clients that need energy assistance. So people that are having problems paying their Pacific Power bill or Northwest Natural bill. We can assist them with a credit so that they can keep their households warm throughout the year. And this last year, we were able to actually add an additional program to our energy assistance that assisted with water. So it's a really, really big program for us. And we foresee that program continuing throughout all of next year. So we also assist clients with housing programs, regular housing programs that do rent assistance. And then our case managers work with them and do ongoing case management every single month. So we have some specific programs for veterans, for housing unstable veterans and also homeless veterans. We have programs available for people with severe mental illness, also for families with disabilities, homeless youth, age 18 to 24, chronically homeless families, and for individuals that are fleeing domestic violence. So last year we were able to add an additional HUD housing program for families that were experiencing domestic violence and were fleeing because of the performance of the other programs that we had. And another big one that we added last year was our BURN program. And that is a program that is specific to people that have substance use disorder or in recovery for substance use disorder. So about 10% of the people that we have enrolled in that program actually reside in Cannon Beach.
And that BURN is a Behavioral Health Resource Network is what that stands for. So it's kind of a collaboration between lots of agencies across the area. But
Yeah.
we do a big housing piece of that.
Yeah.
So we do all kinds of things across the board. We're here really to talk about 2 of the things that for our food bank and the personal care pantry program. Personal care pantry is one of our harder programs to fund because it gets overlooked a lot. So we kind of rely on direct donations and community grants such as this. That's really covers basic supplies for people that aren't covered by food stamps. So when families need cleaning supplies and toilet paper and those kind of things, we have them available. We distribute them out of our main office and in different places across the county. We have a resource desk at the Seaside. We have a homeless liaison does outreach across the entire county. A community health worker also does outreach across the county. And yeah, and I think Dustin can talk about the food bank a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I think you're muted.
Maybe.
Try again? No.
It's on his end. Yeah.
He's flipping the toggle, but we're not hearing you. It looks like we have sound here, but we're not hearing you. Oops. Well, the food bank,
We can talk a little bit about the food bank if he's not able to get on there. I can say that, you know, last year our regional food bank distributed 1.5 million pounds of food across Clatsop County. And they were able to assist about 2,000 families that lived here in Cannon Beach. Housing is my expertise, though, not the food bank.
Real quick question. So could you repeat your names? I'd like to know who I'm talking to. And
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, you went through it so quick. I couldn't do it.
My name is Susan Prettyman. I'm the social services manager at CCA.
and I'm Jerome Steedmans.
Jerome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And the food bank distributes food in lots of different ways, right? People pick up kind of weekly groceries at the main Warrenton office. They do a weekly mobile produce pantry where they set up in different areas of the county, trying to make it a little more accessible for people. They also supply the South County Food Bank and pantries all across the county with food.
So, and they use also supply Cannon Beach with,
Yes, yep.
so, okay. South County's ask, it's like, we have two.
Yeah, and I read the article in Daily Astorian this morning, just that there's less coming in for you guys and more going out.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me now?
Oh, we can. There you
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. I don't want to interrupt there, so just let me know when I can do some talking and I will.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, hey, I'm Dustin with the Regional Food Bank, and I know some technical difficulties put us behind there a little bit, so I'll make it quick. I'm sorry I can't join you guys in person. We're going out this morning. We're getting ready to get some fish. We have some Chinook coming in, so we've got our trucks ready, and we're going to go pick up some fish right out of the water. But just to give you kind of a quick overview of the Regional Food Bank, we cover all of Clatsop County with food assistance. We distribute between 1 and 1.5 million pounds of food annually. And we do this a couple different ways. About 50% of that food goes to what we call partner agencies. And those would be food pantries, meal sites, backpack programs, senior centers, and the like, shelters. And about 50% of our food we distribute directly to people in need. So that's kind of our breakdown. About 50% of our total pounds are either fresh produce, frozen meat, or refrigerated goods. So the vast majority of the products we distribute here at the Regional Food Bank come out of our freezer and cooler. So we've pushed really hard in the last few years to get healthier food to people, really with fresh produce and lean meats as being one of our real primary things we're trying to hit. Just to give you some real quick Cannon Beach specific numbers, you guys have a food pantry there in Cannon Beach. It's an excellent food pantry. They do a great job. Last fiscal year, so fiscal year 21-22, we distributed about little over 50,000 pounds of food to that food pantry. Fiscal year 22-23, which isn't over quite yet. So this goes through, the fiscal year goes through June. I'm just quoting numbers up through April. The Cannon Beach Food Pantry, we've distributed about 70,000 pounds of food to them already. So they'll probably land somewhere in that 75,000 pound range. So they're going to be looking at about a 25% increase in pounds that we've sent to those folks this fiscal year. So that's kind of a snapshot of your local pantry there. We also supply some food for your emergency caches. So we have some drums in your emergency caches located throughout the city there, where there's some emergency food that the Cannon Beach leadership could use during a disaster as they see fit. So that's kind of a quick overview and trying to keep it Cannon Beach specific. So if there's any questions about the food bank, I can certainly answer those now if anybody has any.
So does the toiletries get distributed kind of in the same exact manner, to your partner agencies and then some through your own sites? Is that kind of how it works, or is that different?
I mean, it's a little bit different. We don't necessarily take our personal care items like to other agencies, but we do take a small variety to Providence Seaside Hospital. So our community resource person can distribute to clients. We also have a personal care pantry at the college in Astoria, which is where our veteran service officer that serves all of Clatsop County is housed. So he and our homeless liaison who are housed there can pass them out. But our homeless liaison actually drives around in her car with personal care items. So if she sees somebody on the street that needs assistance right in the moment, she's able to give it to them instantly versus having to have them, have a transportation barrier and have to figure out some way to get all the way to Seaside or get all the way to Astoria.
Is there a way how do you get these personal care items?
Yeah, so
Usually,
it's really a variety of different ways. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of grants available for those specific things. So we do ask community grants to a lot of different agencies to help us with that. A lot of what we take in is through donations. We have really, really generous people in Clatsop County who are willing to donate things like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, feminine hygiene products. And we've actually gotten a lot of different donations from the Girl Scouts. Believe it or not, they set up their stands outside, like at Fred Meyer, and they take a lot of donations and help us with that.
And we purchase stuff directly from mostly the Dollar Tree too. We'll pick up truckloads and
dollar store.
Yeah.
I just wondered because it seems to me that if Cannon Beach could have a site where we donated, I'm like maybe the post office or something, maybe once a month people bring it, because they do that at schools where they donate food, right?
Yeah, we do also get some donations from different churches in Cannon Beach too. So donations of hats, gloves, coats, blankets, things like that too. And they are very appreciated by our clients.
I have a food question. Fresh Foods here in Cannon Beach, do they donate to you folks?
They donate directly to your local pantry.
Yeah, because do they only donate non-sell by? I mean, I went by their store and there were like 6 things of strawberries that were perfectly good strawberries in their trash. And it was how can we keep that out of the trash? And is there a way to talk to them? And
Sure. We as the regional food bank don't have a partnership with them, but your local pantry does. So I could certainly pass that information on to your local pantry. We as a regional food bank have contractual relationships with the Safeways, Walmart, Fred Meyer, the Astoria Co-op, and we have a route, actually 2 routes that drive around 3 days a week to these supermarkets. And basically, you've seen the Frito-Lay guy taking potato chips into the grocery store. We kind of do the opposite. We show up with an empty truck and we take out items that they find are unsellable for whatever reason. That's where we get the majority of our meat, actually. We have a program with the supermarkets where they freeze their meat before it goes out of date, and then we'll pick it up in a frozen state and distribute it into a frozen state as well. So there are programs like that. We do encourage our pantries and our partner agencies to get involved with that with us and assist that. It's, you know, for example, Fresh Food, since we're talking Cannon Beach, I mean, that's a local store. We'd love to see the local pantry getting everything they could from that store that would otherwise go to waste. But as far as that specific question about the strawberries, I don't know. I couldn't honestly answer that, why they were in the garbage, or, you know, if there was some sort of chemical on them, or whatever could have happened at the supermarket. Sometimes there are some food safety things like that. But I know your local pantry does pick up quite a bit of food from them. So
Oh, good.
I know Fresh Foods does have some skin in the game as far as hunger goes.
Good. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I have just a comment. So you mentioned the incoming fish. And if I remember correctly, because my family has been kind of hey, we've been a part of this sport for a while. I thought CCA is one of the few places that can actually process their own fresh fish or meat. Is that not?
We used to do that. There's been quite a few regulations in the last few years. We used to process fish and game right inside our building, but there have been some regulations over the years that have forced us to move that processing out of our building. So for example, this morning we'll go and pick up Chinook from the fish hatchery, and we'll deliver those directly to Pacific Seafood in Warrenton, and they will handle the processing, the wrapping, the freezing, free of charge for the food bank. And then we'll make that fish available to the Cannon Beach Food Pantry and every other partner agency we have in the county for ordering. So, you know, yes, we used to do the processing. Now it's been moved all out of sight, so off site.
Okay. Well, again, I don't mean to detract from what you do in any way. I just always thought that was a really cool aspect that I had never heard anywhere else.
It was pretty unique in the country. We were, you know, at last I had heard, and this is when there were fewer regulations, we were the only food bank in the nation processing fish and meat inside their building. And like I said, some of the regulations have just drove it to the point where we can't afford to do it. So we've had these great partners who have stepped up and said, well, hey, we can do it and we'll do it free for you. So Pacific's been a great partner with that.
Kudos to them.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
You bet.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How are we doing on time?
Well, I thought we'd have a few
Back
minutes,
or-
but we're actually just on time to start the next group, unless you guys want a quick break.
I'm fine.
Good?
You
Okay.
fine?
All right, great. So next is El Centro Northwest.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us here, for having me. Okay, my name is Minerva Moulin, and I'm here to represent El Centro Northwest. It's a fairly brand new organization. We started June 2022. And we serve the community of Clatsop County. Also, we serve Pacific County, and we are planning to serve Tillamook County in the future. We have services like income tax for the people who only speak Spanish. This is the main program we are having this year. So we serve a lot of folks in Cannon Beach, Seaside, Astoria, and like I said, Pacific County, Ryman, and Ilwaco. We are an organization. We like to preserve the culture, the Mexican culture. So we have a group called Mi Cultura. It's a dance group from people who lives in Cannon Beach, like I said, Seaside and Astoria. So we perform dances, and when we have celebrations like the Dia de los Muertos, also we have a month celebration in September, who is the heritage of the Hispanic community. Also, we have
we teach classes for grown-up people who haven't finished school in Mexico. So we have a Plaza Comunitaria from El Consulado de Mexico with us. Also, we are encourage people to take classes for GED. Well, we just started, what else we have? I think that will be it. And we don't have a physical address right now, so we are looking for funds to get an address so people can come, and we're going to be based in Seaside. But we're going to serve all the Hispanic community. Yeah, like, many of the people is working behind restaurants, hotels, so I think it's a big need for our people because sometimes they don't have anybody who translate for them or interpret papers, documents, or that's a big need for the community. I think that will be it for me. If you have any questions.
I have a question. So do you charge for your services or?
No, everything is free. Yes. Yes. And actually right now, people who is serving the group is just volunteers. So, and that's what we are.
Okay.
Within Clatsop County anyway, are there other Hispanic organizations that you partner with, or that I'm not sure how to phrase it correctly, but are there other resources for the people you serve to get to know what you're offering, or how is that going to?
Well, we using the internet to serve people and to let them know. We use WhatsApp, Facebook. Also, we haven't partnership with nobody yet, but we are willing to partnership with everybody or whoever's need our services. So they know we can help whatever they needed. And right now we partnership with Pacific, PCIS in Washington. So we were working there for a while for the tax season. So we are willing to work with anybody who can need the help.
Okay. I admire what you're trying to do, and I know that the Hispanic community deserves to have more attention, more support than I think they get. I completely get. But you've got such a big task ahead of you, and I know you're just getting started. I'm just kind of wondering, what are you going to do first? I mean, how is this going to? It kind of felt like it, and I'm not phrasing this very well, but I mean, you've got lots of aspirations. What specifically do you expect to get done, say, this year toward all that list of goals? What's your first task?
Okay, I think the first task is to get an office, so where people can come and meet with us. We can listen their needs. I think that's the first task we need to accomplish.
Okay.
Because it's been hard just using the phone, and it's very difficult just to resolve problems by the phone. So I think the first thing, we're going to get an office so we can start walking up.
No,
Yes.
And I didn't know. I mean, that makes sense, but
And many of people who is working right now in the Centro Northwest is been working in the, they used to call Consejo Hispano. So many of the board members have very many years of experience. So I believe they know what they are doing. And also I work for Consejo Hispano like 5 years. So I think we are trying to accomplish what we need for the people and the community.
thank you.
Thank you.
So it's just you, who's working? You have just yourself in it?
I'm the one who is answering phones and helping with taxes, but we have like 4 or 5 volunteers who don't work day by day, but we have taxes clinics who we done on Saturday. So 5, 6 people go to the clinic. So that way we can help more people.
Yeah. Do you have any other funding through Cannon Beach or just
No,
not the tourist thing?
no.
Gosh,
And like I say, this is the first year we're going to start working complete full time, so we are looking for resources to help the community and the health center.
I think it's amazing, from what I can understand, that the amount of things you're already doing for the community with essentially no resources. It's 100% volunteer
So
effort. That's very admirable.
yes, that's why we do it, because we care the community. Some people, sometimes the Hispanic community is like some kind of discriminations, because sometimes the people doesn't have like an interpreter in the clinics or in the police. Sometimes they don't have who can translate for them. So, and we care a lot the community, so that's why we are volunteers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the dancing.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Yes.
I hope they'll do it during the soccer games this summer.
Oh, maybe, yes, yeah, it's a beautiful performance because they have the dresses and the shoes and everybody enjoy it. And it's a way to be together with the community, the Mexicans and all the communities, because you're going to show your culture and many people love the dances, yes. Yes.
Great.
Well, do you think there will be an opportunity for those of us who are not familiar with the
Of course, yes.
to participate in that?
Oh, yes.
I'd like.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it will be lovely. If yes. The classes is going to start next month and everybody's willing to come. We are looking for a place so they can start teaching the classes even here or Seaside. So it's a welcome for everybody.
You don't want me to dance. I just want to watch.
Well, well, you're going to like it and you're going to love it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Center.
Helping Hands.
Hi there.
Hey there.
How's it going?
Good.
You.
Thanks for having us. My name is Joshua Bloomquist. I am the Director of Operations for Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers. We started 22 years ago with an 8-bedroom shelter in Seaside. Today we operate 10 facilities in 5 Oregon counties. We offer emergency shelter, navigation services, and a high barrier reentry program that we shape what we call IRPs, individual reentry plans, to fit the needs of the person. So each person's plan is different as we start to tackle the obstacles that may be in the way of getting back re-entered into long-term housing. We're recently opening a new center at the J. Barber campus in Seaside, which will be a true navigation center. So it'll be offering emergency shelter for 30 days as we try to navigate where someone may need to go. We're a little less strict on the lower barrier. I wouldn't say it's a no barrier. We don't allow drug use within the site, but it's definitely serving the clientele that's probably the most vulnerable on the streets. We try to navigate them to either our program in Astoria or to somewhere that's a better fit for them. We offer our mission statement. We're trauma informed, person centered, and data driven care for individuals. And as we, with recovery resources and reentry, we try to get people back on their feet. It's a vital service in our community that we provide. And I can speak from personal experience. 6 years ago, I walked through the front door, hopeless, addicted to drugs, And, you know, it gave me the wraparound services that was offered that I could begin to address these things in my life that I needed to address. You know, I was able to change. I'm the only one that walked through our doors on our senior board. And, you know, I take a lot of pride in being an example of what our program does for individuals. So, you know, we've been taking folks from Cannon Beach for a long time. And they're, you know, it's a great resource for individuals that are experiencing homelessness or going through a tough time. It's somewhere to be. We offer 3 meals a day, showers, snacks. You know, we're a drug-free environment. You know, and we try to see what it would take to get back on your feet.
Thank you very much. And I'm not sure how to phrase the admiration for what you personally have been able to do. You are, I think, a great role model.
I appreciate that very much.
For sure. I had a couple of questions. First of all, I'm not familiar with the J. Barber campus, and I looked online.
Okay.
Is that what they're calling the facility now?
Yeah, so our original building, so our original name was Thugs Off Drugs with Z's, right? But when you look like a thug and you ask for money, it's hard to get it with a name like that. So about 10 years ago, we changed our name to Helping Hands Reentry Outreach.
Right.
But it was a facility at 1530 South Roosevelt. We just did some work on the front of it. If you drive by through there, you see the Hope logo, and we just stained the wood there. But we also have a men's house right next to it that we purchased. And then across the street, a ladies' house that is for folks who have been in our program for and they're looking for housing, but some of, you know, we get a lot of individuals on fixed income that they just, the waiting list for NOAA and things like that is pretty long in our community. And so we house them there. We're calling the whole area the J. Barber campus because Jay's
Thank you.
Great to our organization. So it comprises those 3.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. No wonder I couldn't find it. So I was interested in some of the, as I read through the application, so people who come into your program, do they have to be referred, or can a person just walk up and basically self-refer?
So with our Astoria location, it would be by referral, but you know, our staff knows that our own bureaucracy shouldn't get in our own way. So it is a policy we have. We've many times taken, you know, we'll get someone in a domestic violence and they, you know, it's 6 o'clock at night. If we have space, we're going to put someone in there. We're trying to eliminate folks just hanging out and walking up to, you know, we want our place to look nice. We want people to take pride in what they're doing. And so Astoria has been referral. Seaside, you know, I'm still working those out. I don't believe we're going to have a referral. We'll have to have some system in place of making sure we have beds available so people aren't just showing up. But that one is going to be a non-referral, where if we have space, we're going to take you in between certain hours. It is my idea at this stage. We're just completing the construction on it right now. So.
What was that? You told me it was on Roosevelt.
Yeah, so 1530 South Roosevelt. It's a little past the Chevron headed down this way, and right across from the old Herb's Quick Mart. I think it's a Thai place across the street now.
Yeah, I think I know.
Yeah, there's a house right there that you'll see them doing the painting on right now, and then the building itself it used to be a thrift store in between us having it, and we had a thrift store years and years ago, but. Yeah, so that is, you know, Alan founded our establishment and that's where he started. And so, you know, to be able to get that building is a pretty cool, you know, he started it with $40 in his pocket 22 years ago in a plan, you know, so pretty neat to be able to get that particular space.
It's wonderful.
So you asked for, your request is for 15,000.
Yeah.
If you don't get the entirety of that request, are you still going to be able to use a portion of it?
Oh, of course.
So it's not going to inhibit anything that you're planning on doing if you don't receive the entirety?
No, I mean, No.
Any other questions?
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you so
All right.
much. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Okay, next, North Coast Food Web. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. My name is Jana Ludwig. I'm the new executive director of North Coast Food Web as of last summer. So I first off wanted to start out and just give you an update. We had, when we sent our report in this year, the report was basically like, yeah, we didn't actually get a chance to do the thing that we were hoping for. So I wanted to own that and acknowledge it and just give you an update on where we are actually at with that. That was for our delivery program. So we run an online farmers market as one of our main programs. And for about a year and a half, we had a free or low cost delivery program that was able to get food to people who didn't have transportation access or for whatever reason, you know, that they were homebound or something. And so last year's funding, our request had been for restarting the delivery program. It's been a fairly chaotic year at the Food Web. We ended up moving partway through last year where the programs that we were hoping to restart in the fall couldn't really get restarted. And by the time we had the energy to start looking at it again, we were into the holiday season. At this point, we're about 3 or 4 weeks away from actually restarting that program, and it's been completely redesigned, which is one of the other delays. So I just wanted to let you know that that funding did eventually end up, you know, producing what you had funded last year, and we're a little bit late on that. So I wanted to start out just saying that. And it's actually pretty critical timing for that delivery program to get up and running again. I know that you're probably aware that a lot of people lost their SNAP benefits in February, and also our bus system in the county has been a little chaotic over the last few weeks. And so we're happy to be able to be stepping into that gap for folks right now. And we also just got funding from the Oregon Food Bank to be able to do a free food box program, which is particularly important because, you know, at least some of the services in the county for people who need food access depend on being SNAP benefit eligible. And of course, a whole bunch of people now aren't, but they're still hungry. So we're excited to be able to be doing that. I also want to just give you a quick rundown on what's up with our other programs. So the, you know, our online farmers market that I just mentioned, the delivery is going to start again. We've got the free food box program, and we've also moved into having a pretty robust Spanish language initiative. And, you know, in addition to having a Spanish speaking market assistant who's there on the day of the market, the entire staff, so we have a staff of 7 at this point, and we've all committed to upping our Spanish language skills rather than putting it off on just one person. And that's something that's actually, you know, touching across the board on all of our programs. We recognize there's a bunch of people that can't really access our programming right now. And we want to correct that. And so we've all made a commitment to that. We're also doing a much more robust business incubation program specifically for food businesses, and are going to be partnering with the Small Business Development Center to be not just having people be able to use our commercial kitchen space. We've done commercial kitchen rentals for years, but that's different than business incubation, which actually helps people figure out things like business planning and budgeting and marketing and that kind of stuff. And so we're working with SBDC to create a much more robust program along those lines. We're also doing a lot more with food storage now. Like one of the things that move did for us is it got us into the Astoria Food Hub space, which is right downtown, much bigger facility. And right now, for instance, we have a beef producer in Nehalem and a pork producer in Clatskanie, and they used to be both of them driving every week back and forth to Astoria. That's a lot of time that they're not ranching, they're driving. And now they're able to make that trip about once every 6 weeks. And so it's much better for the producers, and, you know, multiply that by about 15 other producers who are going to be able to take advantage of that program. And we're suddenly spending a lot more time actually producing food in the area, and, you know, rather than driving it around, and also less fossil fuels getting emitted, which we like that as a nice side benefit to the program. Our kitchen education program also has a bunch of exciting things happening. We have a partnership going with Providence and Columbia Memorial Hospitals, where they're going to be using our space to teach cooking classes for people who are cancer and diabetes patients and their caregivers. Food can make a pretty big impact on somebody's health. And so we're working with the hospitals to, provide the space and some of the technical support for them to be able to do those programs. Similarly, we're partnering with the Upward Bound program. So we're going to have a bunch of like highly motivated teenagers in our kitchen shortly, which we think is going to be fun. We're also working on teaching some of our own classes. And part of that is we grow a lot of very strange vegetables around here. Like if you actually know what all 4 of these things are and how to use them in your kitchen, you are way ahead of almost everybody, including some of my staff members. And so this is really intimidating for a lot of people when you think about like eating seasonally, eating local foods. We want to make that just easier for people to be able to contemplate taking on. And so we're going to be doing some of our programs. And again, it's all in partnerships with our local food producers. They don't know how to sell certain things. If people don't know what Romanesco is or celeriac is, they have a hard time selling it. And so, we really are wanting to support our local economy by just helping people get more comfortable with local foods. And finally, the producer support services are pretty important. Our staff and board yesterday actually went and did a farm visit with Spring Up Farm, which is over in Napa. And one of the things that we were talking about with Kelly, who's the main farmer there, is that a lot of the advice that's coming out of OSU actually isn't very good for coastal food producers. Like they encourage people to buy flat land. Well, all that does here is it creates large puddles where your crops are out in the ground. And so we're the only organization in the area that's actually kind of calibrating what's actually the wise way to be doing food producing in a coastal environment. And that's actually absolutely invaluable. It's really hard to get a farm business off the ground and, any business off the ground really. And having bad advice coming from the experts actually doesn't help much. And nobody else is really thinking about, well, what does it mean to be a coastal producer in the area? So Food Roots is doing it some as well, but they don't actually have a producer support program. So that's some of what we're up to. And I think those are all great, exciting programs. And we don't have the outreach staff right now to be making sure everybody knows about it. So our request this year is actually about being able to increase our staff hours for outreach and access programs, making sure that folks who are low income know that they can get that free food from us, having our producers know that we have increasingly robust programs to support them and that they can actually get incubated as a food business with us and SBDC. So that's our request this year, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I also have, if anybody's interested, have a thing about food access programs that I'm happy to pass those around, pass this to you. And just give you a sense of what do I mean when I'm talking about access and what we're actually doing on the ground with the programs for that. So.
Do you have a presence at the farmers? Is that what you're saying? You have a presence at the farmers market?
So we have our own market that is a year-round online farmers market. So basically, producers let us know up until Sunday afternoon what they're going to have available for the market that week. People go online and place an order Monday through Tuesday night, and then producers bring us the food if it's not already there in our storage program. On Wednesday and Thursday morning, we pack up the boxes and people come pick them up, or once delivery gets going again, we take food out to people on Thursday and Friday.
This is free?
So some of it is free. The free food box program and delivery will be free for people who are low income. Our online farmers market operates a lot like the farmers market. So we take SNAP benefits, we take FDNP benefits, but it is paid actually. Yeah.
And your facility in Astoria, is that in the old Sears building?
Yes, where Bowie Beer is now. Yeah.
Trying to think what I'm going to say. Sorry, I'm gonna have to get my head back in.
That's okay.
My tongue, and I've lost it, but I'll get it back.
Okay.
Somebody else got a question, or am I on the spot here?
You deliberately, so that.
How many producers do you have in the county?
So we have, I'm not actually sure how many are in the county. So we currently we have 45 producers who are working with our market. Over the course of the year, that number fluctuates. Some of our producers only work with us during the off season from the farmers markets, because we're the only one who stays open all year round. So it will vary between like 30 and 60 over the course of the year with the farmers market program. And then we have probably another 10 who we work with in our producer support program where they don't sell through our market, but we're supporting them in other ways.
Thank you, Hannah, for getting me out of that spot.
You're welcome.
So what I was thinking, and I went onto the website and that's a very nice looking, polished.
Thanks.
I think it looks great anyway. I was a little concerned about what the relationship was with the Astoria Food Hub, because that almost felt like because that is a for-profit organization, I think.
It is.
You're operating within their facility, but
Mhm.
continuing to, to not be a for-profit.
Right, right.
I think it'd be great if you or someone on your staff would come down to our farmers market and put up a booth just to describe your program.
Uh-huh.
What you think?
I think it'd be great. And that's the kind of stuff we can do if we have more outreach.
Right.
Like staffing. So yeah, we would love to be doing more and, and also want to, stretch our delivery program up as, as far as we can up the coast. And so both of those things are, are part of the kinds of things that we're looking for funding for. But yeah, we would love to. We're doing once a month. We just started tabling once a month at the Astoria Farmers Market. We'd love to get up here and do that as well.
Yeah, they have a community booth
Yeah.
every market, one, sometimes two every week.
But we would love to be doing that. And it makes total sense.
Yeah.
We just need more
Yeah, because that's your
staff time.
community, right?
Yes, exactly.
I hadn't even thought about it, but where do the producers who come and sell in our market, what do they do when we're not running a market? Well, you fill that gap.
Yeah, some of them, and I don't know who all is. I'm still relatively new on the scene, so I'm not as familiar yet with like what producers are at what markets, but I'm sure that there's a fair bit of overlap. The ones who are closest to. So right now, we've got two producers in Nehalem, North Fork 53, and what is the beef producer's name? Jared, I can't remember his business name, Angora Peak, Granola, North Coast Microgreens, Oregon Seaweed, which is in Garibaldi, and North Coast Commons in Wheeler. So we've got some that are pretty close, that are definitely up in the zone here.
There's a few of those things.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So they all work with us and mostly year round, although we get more from them during the winter if they're still producing something, Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing that resonated with me the most in prior years was the service, the transportation service to, South County.
Yes.
And I'm very happy to hear that that's going to resume finally.
We are too. It's been really hard, since February watching people. I mean, we had one of our customers call us up in tears and she was like, I usually have over $100. I have $14, for this month on my SNAP benefits. And like, what are they supposed to do? I mean, there's just not I mean, I think there's a lot of organizations that are working on hunger in our area and there's bigger needs than any one of us can do by ourselves. So we're trying to do our part with that, and delivery is a unique piece for us.
I think it is unique. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, great. Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, next we have Restoration House.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey. Just flew in from Phoenix last night. Wow. I wouldn't miss this.
Thanks for being here.
My name is Brad Blight. I'm the Director of Operations and Development at Restoration House. I've been there since 2018. And thank you for the opportunity to present. And thank you for since I've been here, since 2018, Cannon Beach has been invaluable to Restoration House growth. And the last 5 years have been truly amazing on the development of our organization in terms of infrastructure, transparency, and internal development. And in 2023, This marks a tremendous landmark year for us. And to celebrate it, I've given a tremendous ask for you all this year. We received a $1.5 million grant from the Oregon Health Authority, their health service division. This is in conjunction with Claps Behavioral Health. The purpose of this grant is for new construction only. It can't be used for anything else. But it's for people that have serious and persistent mental illnesses. We're building 10 brand new single room occupancy SRO units for those people. And we're thrilled. Over the last 4 years, we've seen our census in population more from, we accept direct referrals from Claps Community Corrections, probation, and Claps Behavioral Health. We get all of our people from there. We have a current occupancy of 15. We're going to be moving that up to 26, which I'm thrilled about. The economy of scale, which that's going to mean to our organizations, tremendous. Just to step back a second, we charge $510 a month. That's $17 a day. And that includes meals. So that's extremely affordable for entry. We provide supportive services. So we allow people to live independently and still receive help, like dispensing medications, things like that. We're not a residential facility. We're supportive housing. And OHA acknowledged that, which we're thrilled about. But when I mean wraparound services, Community Corrections has probation officers that visit us literally every week for their clientele. We receive people coming out of prison and we give them a transitional step. And for that, we usually have a turnover of about 52 guys per year, where we have permanent residents there, which are more the Claps Behavioral Health people, because they love it. We're in downtown Seaside. It's a beautiful Victorian. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's right on North Holiday, about 2 blocks off the ocean, right on the river. And the guys take immaculate care of it. You go to the website, you'll see it. It's absolutely beautiful. And that's restorationhouseseaside.com. The ask this year, the reason why it's so large, we're going to be starting construction probably sometime late this summer. We're already paring down our number of occupants because it's going to be incredibly disruptive. It's going to displace probably 10 to 12 beds that we're going to have. We're going to have to relocate some people, some places in the house, maybe outside. We're figuring that we're going to be losing in revenue probably $36,000 annually, and this will probably be over a 2-year period. So that's well over $60,000. We've made the same ask, just for complete transparency, the town of Astoria and the town of city of Seaside. All right, so this is not something we're doing independently. We serve Clatsop County. We guesstimated that probably 30% of our residents have some affiliation to Cannon Beach. The main thing that we're really looking to do is to expand more permanent housing solutions for people that have serious and persistent mental illnesses. It's amazing what they can do when they have a little support. And we're located right in downtown Seaside, so it's a beautiful place for them. They don't have to have cars. And they probably don't, for obvious reasons. And they can just walk downtown and they can get to public transportation fairly easy. The ask, once again, is large because we're trying to be able to set up the funding to last for the entire extent of the construction. And if you've ever been involved in any of these projects, there's a lot. It's what you don't know, it's what kills you and what delays you. And we just have to assume and build into our planning that there's going to be some delays. And I'll leave it open to questions.
Will your new facility be right there co-located with your existing one, the same property?
I'll pass this around. And it's yours to keep.
Yeah.
We have an architectural firm, Bertel Architectural. They're located in Longview. And we received a $25,000 development grant from OHA in 2022, and Providence Seaside matched it, Providence Seaside Hospital. matched it for development purposes. So we were able to hire surveyors and we got a complete surveying done, which isn't cheap. The architectural aspects, we had 2 architectural firms come up with this scheme. The founder of Restoration House, which was founded in 1999, so we're all closing out on 24 years now. He had the foresight through OHA to actually get a consolidated conditional grant to buy property outright. And in 2010, those conditions were satisfied. So the house is ours outright. So we own the property without any encumbrance. And so we're going to put the addition right off the back. We've got the land to do it. And we're working with Seaside right now to get the parking completed because we have the parking available, but we don't think we need it. So we're having a discussion on that. The clients that we're having don't have cars. So it's not an apartment.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
Did very well. Thank you. And so the only way that people or individuals get into your program is by referral from the 2 agencies that you
The
mentioned.
reason why is because we really insist on the wraparound services. Obviously, the people with the serious and persistent mental illnesses, they need wraparound services. They need counseling. We have Zoom meetings with physicians and psychiatrists on a regular basis. And probation, that's another thing too. You have guys coming out of prison, they need a little heightened supervision. And we kind of like to have the partnership approach to really making sure our clients have a fair shake and they can actually have a reentry that's going to be successful on a lot of different levels, actually. And it's been working for 23 years. And you know what's really amazing? The chemistry that exists between the people coming out of corrections and the people coming out of behavioral health, they get along really well. It's a weird, bizarre chemistry that works. And I don't know why it works, but it's been working for a long time. So
you see the synergies and the
totally synergy, yeah.
the support from one another.
Absolutely.
It's great.
And we have a chef, who's a Cannon Beach resident. I think he lives fairly close to here. And he's created a wonderful meals program, food program, where we actually train people to, enter the health service or the food industry. And it provides meals for these guys. It's like, I think they're spoiled. They're getting a little large.
So it sounds like on site, you're doing job training for
Yes.
people.
I'd like to see us develop that a lot more. For the people coming through corrections, it's particularly important. And of course, Seaside's got, you have a labor shortage there that's probably Cannon Beach does too, I'm sure. Right.
So you're asking for 20,000, which is a pretty big chunk of the money we have. Well, I'm just curious that if you don't receive the entirety of that amount, how will that impact what you're able to do?
We can survive. We have pretty good reserves. We want to try to make sure that what we don't know is going to happen, we'll be prepared for. That's really what we're looking at. But we can certainly survive if we don't get the full amount.
Okay, thank you.
You don't ask, you don't get.
Sure.
It's very true.
And by the way, thank you for last year. We had a chronic and severe sewer problem where the trees had completely demolished our clay pipes. And we were able to fix that thanks to your all's money.
Good, good.
I'm glad we were happy to help.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, next we have South County Community Food Bank. Good morning.
Good morning. It's great to see everyone again.
Thanks for being here.
My name's Darren Gooch. I'm the current board president, South County Community Food Bank. Been board president for 6 years now. It's probably out of all the volunteer things that I have ever done in my life, one of the most amazing and most rewarding of all of my volunteer opportunities. Just a couple things to report on from, kind of some changes from last year. I think when I was here last year, we talked about the difficulties of the pandemic and COVID and how a lot of our numbers were really up and down. Seems like numbers were down of visits to the food banks during the pandemic period, due mainly to the fact that folks were getting more of those SNAP benefits, those additional benefits. Folks are kind of preferential eaters, I guess. And, if you're getting a really healthy amount of benefits, they're not running out at the end of the month. Since those benefits have dried up, a lot of those additional benefits, we have actually seen pre-pandemic numbers coming back into the food bank now. March alone had numbers over 600, which is we haven't seen since 2019. So just kind of anecdotally, April actually was up there again, very close to 600 visits. So we're really starting to hear from our clients that those SNAP benefits are running out quickly at the end of the month. So it tends to be when we see the largest number of visits. But even last year alone, we actually had 146,282 pounds of food come through our food bank. Plus what we purchased from the regional food bank, which totaled about 43,044 pounds. So grand total of 189,326 pounds. So all of that food that came through went out again to our clients. Where our mission says that we're, is to give away 3 to 5 days of emergency food to folks. We've been actually giving out closer to 10 days worth of food to folks. So folks left our pantry with about 40 pounds per person total. So on the average household, that was about 114.5 pounds. So there's a lot of crossover between partner agencies in the food banking system. That means folks that have the opportunity to come down and visit the Cannon Beach Food Bank generally will come up and visit our food bank. Our hours and days of operation are different, and that's by design, really. So folks have opportunities to visit a food pantry just about every day of the week. So whether they're going to St. Vincent de Paul out in Gerhardt, whether they're going to our pantry in Seaside, or whether they're visiting Cannon Beach Food Pantry, there's really a lot of opportunity out there to get foods into the hands of the folks that really need it. So other than that, we did have one exciting project. Well, I don't know if you can really call it exciting. You might remember that our food pantry is made up of the two outdoor classrooms that used to be at Cannon Beach Elementary School. So they are showing their age a little bit. The floor was starting to get a little wonky in a couple of places. So we did have a company come in and repair the subfloor. And we've got finally a new floor in the pantry. We got some very nice vinyl planking flooring. It's exciting for us. So it sort of sets the foundation for a project we're going to be working on this year, and that's replacing some of the freezer units in the back of our pantry. Right now, we have probably about 8 non-commercial home style upright freezers that have been donated to us throughout the years. Some of those are starting to kind of fail. My pantry coordinator, she has gone to plugging in Christmas lights on each one of the outlets that the freezers are connected to. So at a glance, she can tell if one of the outlets is popped or breakers are popped or something. So that's one of our biggest nightmares in food banking is losing really valuable product. Those freezers tend to hold all of our really dense proteins. So it's our meats, fish, our eggs and things like that. So, yeah. So we'll be embarking on that project this year. So we're really excited about that. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay, so I do have a couple of questions actually. So the request is for I got this right, $4,000. Is that all going to be used toward purchase of foods and toiletry items that are in turn going to be handed back out?
Some of it is, we have purchasing power through the regional food bank. We actually are able to get food at 18 cents per pound, which is really unheard of. Right now, we order mainly meats and things through that. We get a lot of donations, and those donations provide a lot of the variety that we get. We also get free product through Oregon Food Bank and USDA. So we try to take advantage of as much of that as we can. A lot of the money actually goes to helping us keep the freezers running, electricity, utilities, and those sorts of things. So it all kind of goes in together to help us get the food, to help us hold the food, and help us get it into the hands of our clients.
So there is some component of operating expense.
Absolutely, yeah,
That
definitely.
I was trying to understand there's a 2023 budget that's attached to the packet.
Yeah.
And it talks about diving blocks and different things. And I felt like it probably didn't have a lot to do with.
Yep, I think it belonged in the other packet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Whoops.
I just, I wanted to make sure that I understood what the money was going for. So it is basically operating expenses, by purchasing stuff to turn around and buy stuff I would expect. And I just didn't see it in the line item budget that way.
My sincerest apologies. That must have been a really rough day.
Oh,
Would you be able to correct that and get it?
I can actually forward that to you. Absolutely. Yep. You bet.
Also, you said you're here in Cannon Beach and you said there's in Nehalem too, or?
No, we're in Seaside, located in Seaside across from the old high school.
Okay.
But we're a partner agency in the food banking system, and just same as Cannon Beach Food Pantry is a partner agency. So there's a lot of overlap and sharing of clients that happens. We serve everybody from Warrenton down to Nehalem. We've actually never turned anybody away that came in, even if they're kind of technically outside of our service area. They do leave with a box of food, and then we're able to share with them what pantries would actually be closest to them.
So I'm so confused with it, because how are you connected to the Clatsop Community Action? Are you all?
Yeah, so the structure goes something like this. You have the USDA at the federal level up here. USDA, then all the states have a food banking system. So we have the Oregon Food Bank. And then we have the regional food bank, which would be CCA underneath Oregon Food Bank. And then we have multiple partner agencies that are under the regional food bank. So we're a partner agency along with Cannon Beach Food Pantry, along with St. Vincent de Paul.
So they don't share, because they're asking for 20,000, you're asking for 4,000. Just, you guys don't share. I don't know how your sharing goes.
When I went to pick up product from Safeway this morning, I found 2 boxes on our back porch, and that's generally if that find boxes on the front, the back porch on a Thursday morning. That's Cannon Beach has their food pantry. They've driven up and dropped off product that they weren't able to get, that wouldn't make it through until next week.
I see.
So, yeah, so there's a lot of intersharing that occurs. We got a call from Natural Grocers up in Warrenton, and they had 100 dozen eggs. And wow. Love to say we could move 100 dozen eggs in a timely fashion, but we certainly couldn't. So we called Cannon Beach, we called St. Vincent de Paul, Anna House, and a lot of the other regional partners, and say, hey, we've got all these eggs we're sitting on. Do you need eggs? And so there's a lot of intersharing that occurs between the partner agencies, and that happens a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I think my personal opinion is that our local food pantry and then the operations like yours or at the St. Vincent de Paul, I think do a great job of working together. It's
And we have to, and there's no reason not to. You know, we're all there for the same mission, the same purpose, and that's getting food in people's hands, and any way we can do that, we certainly do. We make up little bags that we give to the police department, and the police department have those in the trunk. They're all shelf stable foods, but they have those in their trunks, and they hand those out to folks when they see somebody that's really in need of some additional food. So there's a lot that we try to do to get that food in people's hands.
It's great.
Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. And then Mary, you want to come up?
Well, I do, but I am, the reason why I keep on looking, I'm looking for one of my little lost people, my Pacifica project, but we're the diving blocks. Yeah. Do you want to lead?
Now we're at Sunset Park and Recreation.
Yeah.
Well, hello again. It's been a little while. Listen,
Amazed.
my doppelganger, I guess. So I get to switch hats, and this is probably why I got the wrong budget in the wrong packet, or doubled up my budgets. So yeah, my name's Darren Gooch. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the Director of Operations for the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District, and I've been working closely with our foundation, the Sunset Park and Recreation Foundation. Foundation supports the work that we do at Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District. And last year, our foundation put together a committee formulated of a lot of the coaches that work for us and that work with the Seaside High School. Those coaches wanted to put together a project that addressed some deficiencies in the aquatic facility. Things that could really benefit them in the work that they do with students, both our in-house swim team, our in-house swim lessons, and with the Seaside High School swim team program. And that project included the purchase of a timing system, as well as the purchase of some new diving blocks. And through some fundraisers that we did last year, a swim-a-thon, and some very generous donations from the Seaside High School boosters. They were able to raise $28,000 last year. And with that, they were able to purchase the timing system last year. So the remainder of that money then rolled over into this year, and the committee has been working diligently on doing some additional fundraisers, which they did a fundraiser just about a month and a half ago. And the Ninja Challenge event, where they had to go to different stations around the pool, was a really, really neat event, and they were able to raise about $1,500 from that particular event. And so we've been going around to the cities of Seaside, Gerhardt, and Cannon Beach, and asking for $3,000 in support of the project. I think we had about $12,000 left to go in the fundraising for the new diving blocks, which I honestly can't speak very well to the diving blocks. I know they've been in there since 1986, so they've served a very long life. I don't honestly, I've worked for the district for about 20 years now. I don't really get in the pool. If you find me in the pool, please call somebody, because I probably have fallen in accidentally. So I actually have brought Mary Blake today to talk a little bit more about the diving blocks and the importance of those.
It's a real privilege to visit with you guys again. It's been a long time. I'm Mary Blake. I've been here in the community for about 40 years, and I had the privilege of being the general manager for the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District for 30 of those, or almost 30. And that's a special district that serves all of our community through the programs that happened at Sunset Pool. So when I first got here, I walked in and I started looking around, and I thought, that we needed a new HVAC system, we needed a new tank, we needed some chlorination systems. And then I looked at the end of the pool, and there were wooden diving blocks. I don't know how many people swim, but wooden diving blocks are not necessarily the state-of-the-art piece of equipment. So that's why it took us several years to take care of the first things first, And then we went and looked at the diving platforms. They were so expensive then, I went to Joe Sobko with a diagram of starting platforms, and he made them for us. So they have served our community for close to 35 years. And when I say that serving our community is that the swimming pool does instruction, health, fitness, and wellness, recreation, competition, and special events. And these diving blocks actually are used in each one of those areas. So all the school kids that go through the swimming pool program, they get a chance of not only learning how to do dives, but also safety practices. Our lifeguards that are trained for our beaches as well as for the pools train on those. So they aren't just for competitive swimming. But so then I was asked by Logan Dennis, who he might kind of come in here, but he's a senior and this is his Pacifica project. So his story is a great one because he gets onto a diving platform that's just a little cockeyed and has a little shake to it. So he gets up there and does a good job. But as he has been trained by our really top-notch coaches, and you might know Carolyn Heyman, she's a new resident here in Cannon Beach. She is and has trained Olympic-bound swimmers. So it's an equalizer. The air time is the best time was Logan's theme for his fundraising, because as he goes off the platforms, that's where you actually make up the time that makes the difference of that 1/100th of a second. And you might think 1/100th of a second, so what? And if you know Michael Phelps, that was a big deal for him when he hit the wall by 1/100th on his butterfly. So it's Olympic material as well as for training purposes. So like Darren was saying, is that this has been a 2-year process, and we have received money from all sorts of different friends of the district. And we're hoping that you too will look at the project and see the value in it and will help support it as well. And I'd be really happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I noticed and was, I think in the last year or last couple of years, primarily the requests were for scholarship.
Yes.
And this is different, obviously. Will you still be able to support scholarships and some other, I mean, I'd hate to think kids can't go.
No, we had actually an extremely successful Ship and Saver event just about 3 weeks ago. That was a partnership with the Seaside Rotary Club. But we had, it's technically our very last Sip and Saver event. We called it the Ship and Saver, the final voyage. So our folks at the foundation are going to be looking at some different kind of fundraisers. They sort of felt that the dinner auction had been sort of an overdone trope, I guess, of sorts. But we had a really, really great event. I think all total so far, and we're still working on some of the numbers, about $25,000 in scholarship support. So that ended up being a very, very successful event. So
it's great.
Good. And I would expect these blocks to last at least 35 years. So we would not come back and ask for another gift.
Wonderful. Anybody have questions?
Well, from a different community that I was a part of, swimming facilities are a big thing. And I kind of feel like I know what you're talking about for these really nice swim blocks and that integrate into the timing system and have all of the, I'm sure that's where you're headed. So will that open up more opportunities for this facility to host meets? And
that's a wonderful question. Not only will it host meets, it will also invite our development of other swim programs like our Special Olympics, also master swimming. And it will, when you walk in, they're going to be, it's a platform, but it's extended and it's a side entry. And then it has grab bars and also also a kick plate. So what we have there is just oh, here he is. You want to, yes, you want to explain the existing blocks to folks? This is my dear, good Logan Dennis. It's his senior project for the Pacific Project. You want to add anything regarding the diving block themselves, your features?
Like the new ones?
Yeah, the new ones.
Okay, so for the new blocks, we're really hoping to get out of them just more of a competitive advantage with the kick plate that we're going to hopefully get and some side grips for that extra boost off the block, which is very helpful for like maybe the 0.1 seconds that you might get off it, which might not seem like much, but in a competitive standpoint, like 0.001 seconds can mean the difference between first place and like 12th place. And as well as that competitive advantage, I think it would bring a lot of benefits to other parts of the pool's community, such as swim lessons, as well as the club swim, getting better equipment for them and other things, as well as bringing new swimmers in for other parts of the community, such as our rescue team for Seaside, as well as the fire department, because a lot of the people that they get are swimmers that have grown up using that pool their whole life. And I think that that would help a lot for our.
Yeah. So yes, it will enhance not only our existing programs, but will give us opportunities to bring more folks in.
Great. And thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
You were compared to Mike Phelps earlier.
Well, I'm not that good, but I'm great.
But you did hit your personal best using those starting blocks at state.
I did.
Great.
That's
Great.
wonderful.
Yeah, congratulations.
Chatting with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you. And thanks for all of your great work. We really appreciate it.
I'm just glad I got here.
Yeah.
That means it back.
Okay, so next is the Cannon Beach Academy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it doesn't look like they're here, so we'll go on to the Seaside Hall.
Gosh.
It's a good thing I didn't see those before. I'm Norman Brown, the treasurer for the Seaside Hall. Sure that that's not the,
Nope, he's from Tolovana.
okay. I'm just worried about the park. Anyway, so I'm Norm Brown and I'm the treasurer of the Seaside Hall, and I think I recognize a couple of you from last year. First of all, an unsolicited recommendation for the food bank in Seaside. Darren's left already, but Darren and his coordinator, I'm a volunteer at the food bank, and Darren and his coordinator Jenny have put together an incredible team that provides services on Tuesdays and Thursdays to move, as he mentioned, a lot of food into the hands of the people that need it. And they really do a good job. It's one of the most rewarding things I do these days. So I'm glad to be a part of it. But anyway, I'm also glad to be a part of the Seaside Hall. I think, again, those of you who were here last year know that Seaside Hall is a group, a board of directors that rents a house from the Methodist Church right next door. We're kind of kitty corner, I think, from Restoration House, so we're not far apart. And then we sublet the space to meetings, 12-step meetings. And currently we have 25 meetings. This is up to or exceeding the pre-COVID position. So if you think about it, and we know we have attendees that come from Astoria, Warrenton, Gearhart, Cannon Beach, and from out of town as well. I almost don't understand how it happens, but people come in and said, I was told in Portland that I need to come to the Little Yellow House. I was told in Boise that I need to come to the Little Yellow House. And Florida, had a guy come in from Florida. But so we get a lot of people coming in because you won't find 25 meetings in any other location nearby. It's just that we've developed a particular capability of doing that. And I'm really excited this year that we've, in addition to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and previously held Narcotics Anonymous meetings, we've added an Al-Anon meeting. And I'm not even sure people are that aware of it. There is a program called Adult Children of Alcoholics. And we started a new meeting there, recognizing that living in an alcoholic or an addictive family as a youngster and even as a teenager, or a significantly dysfunctional family creates behaviors that are not conducive in later in life. And so this program uses the 12 steps to help people deal with the dysfunction and the impacts of dysfunction from their earlier days. So we're really kind of branching out, but the mission is still the same. Provide the opportunity for people in recovery to come together to have this fellowship. Last year, you helped us with our kitchen and did a great job. No granite slabs, no sub-zero refrigerators, but we've got a nice little kitchen. The facility, I think, is about 75, 80 years old. So it also is showing its age more than others, but it's functional. So at least 2 or 3 of the morning meetings have breakfast at least once a month. So they cook that. Just talked to a guy yesterday, and the Tuesday meeting does Taco Tuesdays once a month. And we've got our Thanksgiving potlucks, our Christmas parties, our Santa parties. And there's a lot about the programs themselves, but there's a lot to be said about the fellowship that people in recovery get and the support it gives them just getting together with other people in a social or a fellowship standpoint. So the kitchen was great. Again, with a 75-year-old house, things just go wrong. We had a little bathroom problem earlier in the year, but we were able to fix that out of operating funds. This year, though, we have an upstairs bathroom, and it's going to require some significant work. And you may have seen a quote or a cost summary. We've got the high end spread and we've got the low end spread. And looking at our budgets and things, we've decided that now it might be tempting to go with a total remodel, but we can have just a very functional repairs done for like $3,600. So we're asking you for $1,500 to help us with that. If you also can see our budget for the year, and it shows a profit of $120.60.
Nice.
This is basically a break-even budget, which is supposed to be. We don't want to build up huge reserves. We don't own a lot. We're renting, so it's we can get by. We did increase the fees we charge the meetings by 11.1%. From $9 a meeting to $10 a meeting, and that will generate a little more revenue. So we're trying to manage our operations, but again, with a facility this old, it's going to throw us some curveballs now and then. So we want to be good stewards of the building. The Methodist Church did increase our rent a year or so ago. From $600 to $800. That was a big pill to swallow, but we do have a good relationship with them. And overall, they support us in enabling us to use this facility in the first place for probably what is still sub-market rates. So I can't critique them at all, but again, they're good. Nonetheless, those costs have increased, gas has increased. I think we're going to see water in, I don't know about Cannon Beach, but Seaside's announced a water and garbage increase. So we're going to see increasing costs. So we're trying to keep it all together, but we would appreciate your consideration for a $1,500 grant to keep the house in shape.
I have to say, year over year, I think your organization does the best job I've ever seen at watching costs. I mean, your needs are real, but you're always looking at the bottom line. And it's frankly a pleasure to have you come in and speak to us. I did want to ask though, so, and I did look at the quote down at the of the $3,600, $2,500 of it is what's called selected option remodel. And I just was curious if you could share with me a little bit more about what's happening.
I wish I had my facilities guy here.
And like I say, I'm just curious, like such a big piece of the total, you know.
And I could send you an email when I talk to Gary to do that. Sharp, it looks like all the materials. But this is finish work. So that's, you know, the resheet rocking after you've redone the plumbing and repairing flooring from leaks.
And there's probably a host of little things that add up. It was just curiosity.
It's interesting. We've got little cubby holes.
Yeah.
That each meeting has stuff in. And you open one of those and you see the old wallpaper and cracks down the ceiling from, wow, this, I really would have liked to have seen this 50 years ago. But so it does need some continuing work.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. One last question, at least for me, is so 25 meetings, are they weekly meetings or so 25 meetings per week is kind of what.
Right. So
that's a lot of throughput for that.
It really is. And, you know, so if you 10 people a meeting is 250 people a week attending meetings there. We've done some meetings I've seen pre-pandemic and we're getting there back again, have 15 to 20 people. And as I mentioned last year, this is a family disease. So those people there, the program benefits their bosses, their wives, their spouses, their children, their mothers, their fathers. So it's not just the 250 people, it's beyond that. And I'm really glad to be a part of the program and can't say enough about it. I could get really excited about it. What my time is. I figure, and this goes back a long ways. I'm not a psychologist or anything, but 10% of our population has a significant problem with drugs or alcohol. So if you look at, and I think that in current events and messaging, we're obviously as a society concerned about our issues. But if you look at that, what is our population between Cannon Beach and Seaside and Astoria and Warrenton? 20,000, 15, 20,000. So you take 10% of those that we have, I say, could benefit from this program. And so we want to be there when someone makes that opportunity, but you know, obviously a huge need, and we're glad to be a provider.
Oh, thank you.
For the community.
Anyway,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next is Tolavana Arts Con. Andrew.
Hi, Parks Committee.
Good morning.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for having me today. I'm going to read some prepared remarks and then we're going to show a little video. So the last year, especially the last 6 months, have felt restorative at the Arts Colony. Whatever disruptions and difficulties COVID presented, we feel like we have weathered, knock on wood. We are enlivened, expanding, and energized to continue strengthening and growing community through the arts. Beginning around last fall, we felt that Cannon Beach was finally, by and large, comfortable gathering together indoors again, and we responded with a slate of new programming. The emergence began in earnest last fall with our Bohemian Coffee Shop pop-up. It featured a longtime local musician along with some pastries and an espresso machine. I don't want to disclose too much about people's personal business, but I want to say that this was an important form of support, both financial and emotional, for this artist. After that, we held an environmentally themed workshop headed by the esteemed Betty Guerin of the Parks Committee, who Betty taught a sold-out class how to make soap and homemade cleaners, and I'm happy to say that I'm still using them in my house today. One attendee of that workshop shared a heartwarming story. They have a child with developmental differences, and cleaning for them is a constant headache. They were ecstatic to transition to the safe and natural cleaners that Betty showed us all how to make.
And they brought their little 7-year-old to learn too, which was sweet.
Oh, that's great.
It was a sweetheart.
After a fabulous holiday bazaar, in the new year, we held the King Tide Happy Hour. This was an informative talk about and a volunteer outreach featuring speakers from Coast Watch, the King Tides Project, and the state of Oregon, exploring sea level rise. We were buoyed by the really great turnout and hope to continue more kind of fun Friday night framing of informative talks. Like it really, the turnout was surprising and awesome. We also launched a book club called The Ponderous Tome. It's a nonfiction book club, and its directions include commitments to democracy, the environment, and other civic bedrocks. It encourages engaged, informed citizenry. In the spring, we began what will probably become a regular off-season offering. It's called Art Barn. Art Barn is essentially an open studio where we invite community members to come and do whatever it is that they do. We hosted painters, knitters, musicians, and I even got to tie-dye a t-shirt over there. Recognizing the joy of creating together at Art Barn led one of our board members, Sharon Amber, to offer a weekly drawing class. On my visits to the class, I found attendees not only drawing, but engaging with each other in, very creative and personal ways. There's something that happens when you do art together. New friends and connections are made. As it happens, earlier this week, I was reading a story in the New York Times that I want to tell you about. The title of the article was "How Arts Can Benefit Your Mental Health," and in parentheses, it says "No talent required." And I'll quote, "The notion that art can improve mental well-being is something many people intuitively understand but can lose sight of, especially when we have become disconnected from the dancing, creative writing, drawing, and singing we used to enjoy as children. But there is a robust body of evidence that suggests that creating art, as well as activities like attending a concert or visiting a museum, can benefit mental health." The article, end quote. The article shared a number of accessible techniques, including basic drawing and more, which we'll get to in a moment. So remember the article. In the meantime, I want to quickly mention the post-pandemic returns of the Cannon Beach Comedy Festival and Get Lit at the Beach. Of course, those are tourism and arts funded programs, but they wouldn't be possible without our nonprofit infrastructure, our board of directors, volunteers, community engagement, and so on. So they very much are a part of what we do. We're now in the midst of our summertime planning, which including our Cannon Beach Putts fundraiser on June 13th, Art in the Park, which we just got our permit approved for at Nakoos on June 24th, and our series of summer concerts, the first of which will be July 16th. And the concerts are really worth underscoring because they're such a big part of the ask of this grant. They are by the numbers, by far our most popular offering. And for me personally, as a musician and someone, who is just finds solace and everything in music, it's a labor of love. So I would like to show just a quick bit of, this is LaRhonda Steele from last. So that was a fun one. She's a treasure.
That was
Great.
Now remember the article that I said we should all remember about how arts can benefit your mental health. This bit of that article is about music and singing. Quote, listening to music, playing an instrument, or singing can all be beneficial, research shows. A 2022 study, for example, surveyed more than 650 people in 4 age groups and asked them to rank artistic activities that helped them feel better during the 2020 pandemic lockdowns. The youngest participants, aged 18 to 24, overwhelmingly rated musical activities as most effective. And across all age groups, singing was ranked among the top activities. Which brings us finally to karaoke. We've hosted a couple of karaoke events this year, and they figure to become a semi-regular staple of our off-season programming. And yeah, you're probably thinking, okay, karaoke, it's pretty silly, right? It's a little goofy, but I want to share a story to go alongside that study from our event a couple of weeks ago. A singer who had previously, or no, excuse me, where was it? Okay, a singer who showed up originally was performing under a pseudonym, but after the evening was over, or throughout the evening, they shared themselves with the community. It turns out that this singer had moved to Cannon Beach during the pandemic. They loved to sing, and this was their first real outing since COVID. They hadn't met too many people in their couple of years of living in Cannon Beach. But after a few songs, the singer closed the show with an anthem to acceptance. It was about loving people of all persuasions, regardless of sexuality, gender, or any kind of categorization, and it was a hit. Cannon Beach responded to this person with open arms. The locals cheered, sang along, and danced, and they said, come over to our table. Come, we want to meet you. You are amazing. Like, come, we want to be your friend, and that kind, sure, karaoke can be silly, but it can, arts can lead to, people coming together and a greater understanding. And that kind of embrace is just about everything the Tolovonic Arts Colony could ask for. So with that, thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I hope I didn't read too fast. I put fast.
That's probably the best prepared proposal we've seen today. I mean, I'm admire that you scripted it for us.
I came to one grant many years ago and tried to speak contemporaneously, and it didn't go as well as I would have liked. So I decided to, and I have a history of as a journalist, so it's better for me to write than. So thank you, appreciate that.
And I did mean that in a positive way.
No,
but and I think the things that you're doing with the Tolovonic Art Colony are really needed in this community. It's kind of that. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's pulling people together. And every way that you can think of to do that is, I think, a good thing to do for sure. And I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate you allowing us to do the 12-day events there that we did, because, and I think we could possibly expand on that, because that was really good. People came and enjoyed it. So
To those who don't know, Betty did another soap making workshop that also sold out for the 12 days. And then she did, and on another day, did a composting workshop.
yeah,
They were both excellent.
yeah.
And it was.
Yeah, we can't, we're just gonna have to keep running that soap workshop back and back and back until it doesn't sell out anymore, because there's a waiting list every time.
Well, it was helpful having you send the emails out to your email list too, to help increase how many people we had at the Earth Day events.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that surprised me so much about the King Tide Happy Hour. You know, we had 35, maybe close to 40 people, and that's a pretty good event or turnout for a informative talk, I find. And you know, I hope that like part of our, I hate to use the word brand, our identity is that it's going to be a fun thing, and that helps. You know, people can just. It's like the same thing I'm trying to do with the summer concerts. Like you may not know who the artist is, but you know, you have some kind of trust in our curation. So you'll show up. That's the hope. But that can all go down in a minute too.
I love those summer concerts. They're so fun.
Yeah, they are.
And I do think you do a great job of picking, because I would not have known, that's not my thing, but I enjoyed every one I went to. I absolutely did.
No, one thing, Hannah, you've been asking such a great question about if you don't get this whole amount, how is that going to affect you?
I mean, over the time that the two things here. The way that this grant is structured is so different than a lot of other grants that we go for, because a lot of grants you go for, it's a specific amount and it's a yes or a no. It's not a like massaged thing. So, you know, it's interesting in that way. We're doing financially pretty well. And I think, you know, we've built up a good rainy day fund in the many years that I've been the director. And me as a person, and I think our board needs to, and are working on retraining ourselves from being like always being frugal to like, there's some things we should spend money on. You know, we're exploring scholarships for young artists, basically by contributing to the Seaside High School program, because they just have they know how to target the money to the right people. And then an artist grant here in town. So there's, to that end, I mean, like, it's, you know, it's interesting. It's like, we had like a really good holiday bazaar. Just next year, you know, I mean, I know there are going to be dips, and there, you know, there are things like, so I don't have a great answer for that question. It's like,
You get money from a TAC also.
yeah.
And then,
And that, you know, and that's reflected in our budget. And I think the next year I'm going to have to break the comedy festival out into its own, because those, you know, showing, you know, whatever it is, $10,000, it doesn't really affect the Arts College bottom line, but you're seeing it in our, you know, totals. But like, so like as Get Lit is its own accounting sheet, it's its own bank account. That's probably, you know, something that would be a more, yeah, we have to do that.
yeah, you could kind of see
Yes.
what's successful and what.
Yeah, it's really not part of our operating budget.
Yeah.
That way, you know, so that's, yeah, I learned a lot from doing that. Again, that's a tourism and arts thing, but you know, this year it really became realized. So there's things that need to go change.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Always great to see you.
Sure.
Thanks for all your work.
I just think about for a minute.
I was taking my notes. I realized now I don't know how to spell karaoke.
Karaoke.
There's an A in there.
Mary, okay, yeah. So it'll be just a second and then we'll start up again. So just, okay, Kari, whenever you're ready. And we'll be right back. Morning.
Hello. I'm glad I got here early. It's so fun to hear what everybody's doing.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the different organizations are so fantastic and so different.
Yeah.
Different. Yeah.
And I do apologize. I'm fighting some sort of allergies. So if my voice is different, that's why.
So we're,
And she's Wildlife Center of the North.
Wildlife Center, yeah.
And then
we love you.
I'm not last.
No, actually, we switched things around a little bit. So Coaster Theater is going to go after you. That we had to switch. So yeah.
I don't have to be the grand finale.
No, you don't.
Okay.
You usually are though.
Takes off some pressure.
Right. Whenever you're ready, Kari.
All right. So thank you for having me. I am Kari Henningsgaard and I am the admin coordinator and current interim director at the Wildlife Center of the North Coast, your licensed nonprofit wildlife rehabilitation and conservation education center. So I'm here to shed some light on the remarkable work that this institution has been serving in our community for the past 26 years. So first and foremost, the Wildlife Center plays a pivotal role in preserving and rehabilitating our local wildlife. So our team of dedicated professionals rescue and provide medical care to sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife, giving them a second chance at life. Originally founded by Charnel Fee as a place for seabirds on the Oregon coast to receive medical care, we're still the only licensed facility in the state specializing in seabird rehabilitation. And we are the only licensed facility in our region providing medical care to injured wildlife. The Wildlife Center serves as a critical sanctuary for the seabirds that inhabit our coastal ecosystem. And by ensuring their well-being, we help to maintain the delicate balance of nature, preserving the natural beauty we all cherish. With its robust seabird population, that residents care for so dearly, the city of Cannon Beach remains one of our top cities that we receive wildlife from every year. As most of us know, seabird populations around the world are in peril, including those close to home, like our beloved tufted puffins. So it is important to us to continue being a lifeline to individuals that might need a little extra help, so that we can release them back into the wild and they can continue contributing to their populations each nesting season. So Hatson's auklets, rhinoceros auklets, horned and tufted puffins, cormorants, pelicans, shearwater, those have all come to the Wildlife Center after being rescued off Cannon Beach. And a typical rescue story for one injured bird usually involves Cannon Beach visitors, employees, and residents. So it really speaks to the heart of our mission, which is promoting compassion, empathy, and respect for all life through wildlife rehabilitation, ecological teachings, and wildlife conservation. When a resident encounters an injured wildlife, say on the beach, they give us a call that gives us the opportunity to teach them about native wildlife and the threats that they face. And then through partnerships with other leaders in the conservation field, like the Haystack Rock Awareness Program, they might rescue the bird and hold it for one of our Cannon Beach community volunteers, without whom we could not continue our work, to get that patient and bring it to our facility for care. So, yeah. So in addition to our rehabilitation program, we also have a robust and continuously growing education program. So this will be our 6th year of running our junior naturalist summer camp program. We're now at 3 weeks of summer camps for kids ages 1st through 8th grades. We also are growing our ambassador bird program. So we just added another ambassador to our team, a red-tailed hawk, aptly named Nell after Charnel. And we have started doing tours and encounters with our ambassadors on site too. We also are proud of our outreach program so that we can raise awareness about local wildlife and conservation. And, you know, we were just at the 12 Days of Earth Day Street Fair.
Thanks for going.
Thank you.
Yes, that was fun. And we'll be at the History Center Cottage Tour again this year to help foster a sense of stewardship and environmental responsibility and empower Cannon Beach visitors and residents through education. So we also, in addition to those, serve as a valuable resource for residents with our wildlife hotline. We provide that service 7 days a week, as long as we're open. We enable residents to report incidents and seek guidance in handling any situations that involve any wildlife to help ensure the safety of both residents and animals. And so having a reliable resource like the Wildlife Center to collectively respond to wildlife related emergencies promptly and efficiently. So I believe our request is for general operating support. Truth be told, it costs a lot of money to run a wildlife hospital. I think we spend about $10,000 a year on food alone. We just calculated each time we run a bath for an aquatic patient inside, it costs like $2.50. So, which, you know, adds up, medications, antibiotics, all that type of stuff. So the bulk of the funding would be used to support the rehab program, our education program, you know, costs there associated are our ambassadors, but also we are proud to provide scholarship support to kids wanting to come to our camps. We don't ever want to turn somebody away for inability to pay. We have, I think last year we provided 12 scholarships to students. So that money helps cover the cost of supplies and things that those kids need for summer camp. So yeah, just wanted to highlight again the immeasurable value that the Wildlife Center serves to not just the city of Cannon Beach, but Class County and the entire North Oregon coast. And thank you for recognizing and appreciating that with your previous support in past years. The city of Cannon Beach has really been a solid source of funding for us, and we really appreciate your continued support in helping preserve and care for our beloved wildlife. Questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All that you do. I can't think of an organization that I admire as quite the same way anyway. Because I know it's tough. You know, I know it's been very difficult to keep the doors open in some cases. And the dedication that you and the volunteers have really impresses me. I also like the little owl, the little
Odin?
Yeah, what's his name?
Odin?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. When I was out there last, there, you know, you've got some tremendously large enclosures.
Yes.
But they're not all being used. Is that true? And I guess where I'm headed with my question is there opportunity if you had the resources and you had the volunteers, could you actually expand your available space to take on more?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that. And when you say take on more, do you mean more in the terms of just in general? Yeah, so you know, we're heading into our 26th year of operation, and we're in the middle of our 5-year strategic plan. And we're kind of at a point where most of our outdoor enclosures are 20 years old or more, and they've been sitting out in the Oregon weather for that long. And so there is repairs that need to be done on several of them. And we've budgeted this year, made that a goal for this year is to really focus on getting some of those enclosures back up and running. So our songbird enclosure, for instance, it needs new boards before we can use it. We are redoing our duckling enclosure. And so when we're talking about redoing enclosures, it's really pouring concrete, getting new river rock, making sure that the walls are secure and safe, so that patients can't escape when they're in there, because that kind of defeats the entire purpose. But so we do have a couple that are not functional, but we do utilize our space the best that we can. You know, our 100-foot aviary for raptors is functional. However, it's just a matter of time before we need to start replacing the boards on the outside, and hopefully this time something metal so they're not, you know, running through. And I think we've learned too from what it's failing now on how we can make those better to, for the future.
Well, I'd like to say, I just admire the work you do, and
thank you.
Amazed at that. Well, I just admire what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming down to do the fair. I know you. It was great to have you there. Thank you.
That was fun. Yeah, we're trying to do more outreach this year. Not that we have the time, but
Yeah, I know. I know it's a big ask, but thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
But yeah, that kind of stuff is important to our mission. And so we want to make sure that we're in that, and that event is just, you know, that's one of our favorites. So
Really been doing it.
I don't want to play favorites, but yeah.
I think last year you had an event at the center sometime about the middle of the year. I know I went to it anyway. Are you intending to do those kind of outreaches again?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually just had our spring festival. It was a couple weeks ago, the first weekend in May, which is, we opened our, you know, facility for visitors. We had a couple hundred people come through, made a few $1,000s, sold a bunch of merchandise, gave, you know, I think Annie did 40 tours over the weekend of groups, and it was awesome to get to introduce Nell to our visitors too, because she has been doing training with our bird curator. We added a part-time bird trainer to staff beginning of the year. I mean, time at this point, I'm like, I don't remember, but maybe last year. She's been working there as on a volunteer basis for years, but we added her to staff to kind of make sure that we want to really you know, bolster that program. That's part of our growth plan, our strategic plan. So it was cool to get to watch her interact with Nell and kind of show people what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kari.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Coaster Theater. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank Tessa. Is Tessa in the room?
I am.
Thank you so much for changing the time for me. Years of doing theater mornings just don't work for me. And I want to apologize. I would remove my hat, but I have a very unsightly head injury. And so I don't want to gross you out with it. So I'm leaving my hat on, but I did wear a coordinated shirt. So thanks for having me here. What's that?
It was a sharp grip.
So I don't have really any PowerPoint or anything like that. I think I'll just go through the grant and talk and then see if there's any questions. So again, I'm Patrick I'm the executive director of the Coaster Theater. The Coaster Theater Playhouse is a nonprofit since 2002. However, the building itself is over 100 years old now. It started in the 1920s as a roller skating rink. And I've also heard rumors that they actually showed silent movies at that time in the 20s, which is kind of exciting. It means even back in the 20s, there was a theater of some sort being presented in the building. So it was a roller skating rink until the late 50s and went in kind of disarray. And then they kind of cleaned it up a little bit in the early 60s and started presenting some theater and some music and stuff like that. And I know in the mid 60s, about 63 to 65, Paul Revere and the Raiders were here in Cannon Beach at the Coaster Theater. Then also at that time, there was Bill Stidel had started kind of a little performance group. So there was a little theater group happening that was local also. And they did quite a bit of work, and they brought in some colleges. And then in 1972, Maury Clark, it was that time that he and his cohorts redesigned Cannon Beach. And at that time, they redesigned the theater and changed they built the proscenium arch, they put the rake onto the seats and all of that. And so 1972 is what we consider the beginning of the Coaster Theater. And so last year we celebrated our 50th anniversary as Coaster Theater in Cannon Beach. We provide shows, special events, and theater camps for kids. Our shows are family friendly, PG rated or less, although we just presented Sylvia, and that actually has pushed our limits a bit. And we're going to develop a new rating system. We've been using the movie rating system, which is a little more general. We're going to go to the TV rating system, which, as you know, if you watch a TV program, up in the corner, it'll say violence, alcohol, nudity, sexual, it's all of those things. We're going to go to that kind of rating so that people have a little better understanding of what they might be getting at the Coaster Theater. But mostly we are family friendly, and certainly we're not anything obscene. And our programs are selected by a committee and board members. And our last show of every year is a musical or a holiday classic of some kind. Our mission statement is Coaster Theater is a nonprofit organization in Cannon Beach, Oregon, dedicated to presenting live theater and events that engage residents and visitors of all ages along Oregon's North Coast. This is accomplished through community support, including the work of volunteers and paid staff that sustains the theater's long history in the performing arts. We have 2 full-time staff members, myself and Jenny is the marketing director, and then I have 2 part-time people who help out in the box office. The Coaster, and our vision is the Coaster Theater serves as a regional resource and as the center for community activities for residents and guests on the North Oregon coast. The theater is committed to community values, quality entertainment, and the fine art of good theater. We do provide kids camps for ages 8 to 12 years old during school holidays. We've done anywhere from 3 camps a year, which we are doing this year. We're doing 3 camps this year. We're doing a spring, a summer, and a winter holiday camp. And they've been doing camps at the Coaster Theater since before I got here. I want to say at least maybe 5, so probably since about 2005 or so. I came up in 2009. I wasn't working down in California, so I came up and I ran their kids camp in 2009. And at that time, they invited me to come back. So I rejoined the theater in the November of 2009. And then in 2013, I became the executive director. So they've been offering camps since before I came here. And we do anywhere, like I said, from 1 to 3 camps a year. This year, our first camp was, spring camp was themed, what's it called? Me. I'm me. It's only me. All about me. I can't recall it right now. Anyway, it was a camp about self-affirmation and positive and friendship and kindness and things like that. We're doing a piece this summer called My Pet Monster. And so every kid will, and 1 year I did My Pet Monster as a theme. And I don't know if you can see this, but every kid made a pillow. They made a monster pillow. This year, we're going to make monster sock puppets. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And then our Christmas camp this year, I'm very excited about. will be a Charlie Brown Christmas, and the children will end up performing with Portland saxophonist Patrick Lamb in a tribute to the composer of A Charlie Brown Christmas, Vince Guaraldi. So the kids will be meeting during the week, and then on Friday, Patrick will come in. It's actually an event that people will come to, but then our kids will join him on stage for his show. He'll have sent us the music that we'll be teaching the kids the music, and they'll join him on Friday. So it's really, it's exciting for the community. It's exciting always to have Patrick Lamb around. And it's just exciting for the kids to have this opportunity to perform with professional artists. So we're real excited about that. Next summer, so what we're asking for is money for next summer's camp. And the money that we're asking for actually covers, it lists me as the, let me go back to my thing here. So we provide kids camp programs for 8 to 12-year-olds during school holidays, led by myself. I have actually over 40 years experience in theater education. But the reason for the grant is to bring up the camp director, and his name is Kirk Vallis. He comes out of San Diego, and that's how I met him. I came out of San Diego, and he comes up. And so what we're doing is covering his costs, the cost of his airfare, the cost of his lodging, the cost of his salary for this. And he is really, although I am in charge of the theater, he is the energy. He's an excellent piano player. He's a music educator in the San Diego community, San Diego school district. And he plays the piano like you can't imagine. And he actually uses the piano. It's so fascinating to watch him. He uses the piano as a tool to keep the kids focused and in control. It's just so interesting to watch him. I also have in my camps, I've introduced a few years back, a yoga part. So the kids start with a yoga, about an hour of yoga at the very, very beginning of camp. And then they work on a yoga presentation. So they actually present a yoga experience to the audience when they do that. So that's another thing I use to get the kids calmed down and focused. And I once I started introducing yoga, there was quite a difference in the way the kids reacted throughout the day. So that was a very interesting experience. And I usually use Tish Lilly for yoga, and she comes out of the Cannon Beach Yoga Center. She also has a strong background in education. I think that's really everything. So we're asking money for next summer's program. I don't know what it will be yet. I'm looking into, and don't hold me to this, but I'm looking into possibly bringing Milagro down. And Milagro is a English-Spanish theater troupe out of Portland, and they do educational outreach. And I want to purposely do that to try to continue to expand as much as we can our cultural and diversity and things like that. So that would be a situation where probably the kids would come down, Milagro would come down, give some workshops with the kids, and then we would culminate in some sort of performance at the end of camp. But I don't know if that will really be happening. I have to reach out to them. But regardless of what we do, we will be doing some sort of camp next summer. And that's what we're asking for funding for, is for that camp. And again, just to reiterate, it really covers the costs of Kirk, the camp director, who comes up. And does anybody have any questions?
How many kids do you normally have at the camps?
Usually we have about 12. I've had up to 25. A while back, I used to offer it from ages 8 to 18, but throughout the years, I've just learned things. So I kind of got rid of teenagers and made it just 8 to 12. But I do bring back, there are some kids that just still want to be involved in camp. You know, they might be 13, 14, and they're a little old for camp, but they still want to be involved. And so I'll bring them on as a counselor, and they really just come, they help the other kids, they perform a little bit, and they're just there around, and they just want to be there and around. So, but it's usually 8 to 12-year-olds. And we usually take about 12. However, I've decided for summer camp, I'm going to start opening that up to more kids. We probably can take more during the summer.
Okay.
And you charge them for,
We don't really charge them. That's the purpose for the grant. If we do charge an application fee, and I've learned if I don't charge something, they'll sign up and then not show up, or there's no investment in it. So I just bumped the fee up $25. It's been $50 for a couple of years now, but we charge them an application fee, but that application fee actually becomes a materials fee, and the materials fee purchases the materials to make the sock puppets. And we also take the kids out to pizza and ice cream and all of that. So that materials application fee covers those kind of special things, where the grant covers the costs of the director himself.
Patrick, it looks like, looking at the little budget line item, this is really just focused on the summer offering.
Yes, yeah, I would ask for all three, but I don't think you guys have that kind of money to give out 15,000. So I'm just asking for one summer camp from you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cannon Beach, the city has deep pockets, I'm sure. No, but thank you. I know from past, the camps are really well received.
They are, and the kids get a real kick out of it. And we end up, fostering children who want to be, continue with theater, but we're not, and I'll tell this whenever I talk about camp. The purpose of camp is not to train actors. We're not trying to get these kids to be actors. We're trying to teach them the confidence it takes to get up in front of a group of people so that when they move forward in school, they can get up and give a speech. Or if they decide they want them to move into student politics, they're comfortable in front of a group of people. And so that's really what we're training. Now, if out of that, there are occasional children that are just passionate then about the theatrical process, and they get hooked and they come back and do it. I have one right now. His name is Julian. He was with me last summer. What did we do? Superhero camp. So they all came up with their own superhero. And this kid and his buddy went home and they got costumes and they came back and they developed these just wild characters. And the little boy, Julian, he just was hooked. You could tell. So he auditioned and he ended up being Tiny Tim in Scrooge. And he's coming back for summer camp. He couldn't make spring, but he's just an example of a little kid that loves theater for some reason. He just loves theater. And so this is giving him an outlet for that. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll thank you also, as the previous did, for all of your previous support as well. We really appreciate it.
I just want to add, I saw the performance Sylvia last weekend and it was fabulous. And I know this is about the kids camp, but I think to me, it was the most adult thing I've ever seen of the many things I've seen at the coaster. And it's exciting to have like more emotional depth. And so I think that's an awesome.
Oh, thank you.
There's a growth there
Yeah. And I'm trying to grow us that way. It's slow, we have to teach our audience, but yeah, I don't know if any of you have seen Sylvia or know Sylvia, but it's very adult in its themes and in its language. And that's one of the reasons we're moving to our new system. Can accommodate. We've always had a hard rule. If it has the F word in it, we don't use it, period. And as a result of that, we're missing out on some pieces that are very, very, our audience would enjoy them very much. And because there's one F-bomb, we decided not to use it. So we're going back and reevaluating some of that kind of thing. At the same time, trying to educate our audience to a little more adult themes at times during the year. So that's what that's about. Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. We have another, all of our recommendations are due next week on the 30th. And then by 5 o'clock, right?
It's
And
pretty, it's like
then,
5 o'clock.
And then our next meeting together is going to be on a Wednesday, June 7th, 9 a.m. right here.
I have a question. The missing person, the missing group was the most asked.
Question.
I mean, we can't, what? They don't show up for this meeting?
Right.
Wow,
We have to make that determination,
okay,
but we'll adjourn the meeting.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Good.